At Kroger, an annual Boost membership just got even better. Now you can choose from Disney Plus with ads, Hulu with ads, or ESPN Plus on us when you sign up. Plus, enjoy unlimited free delivery, double fuel points, exclusive offers, and free items. Sign up for a Boost membership today. It's an easier way to save, including new streaming options to relax with while we deliver your groceries. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
2025, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock 2025 and your reset this January with killer taste, killer nutrition, and a killer sweepstakes to win a VIP concert prize pack with round-trip airfare, luxury hotel stay, and much more. Text RESET to 73876 and enter for a chance to win. Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Drama on this Wednesday with episodes of Gangbusters, Calling All Cars. We'll also have the Adventures of Frank Merriwell, a crazy episode of Macabre, and we'll have an episode of Lum and Abner. That's all straight ahead here. On this Wednesday, this is the 8th day of January, and we have 357 days remaining till we get to 2026. Now, George Washington delivered the first State of the Union address in New York City on this date in 1790. The Battle of New Orleans took place on this date in 1815 as Andrew Jackson led American forces in victory over the British during the War of 1812. 1838, Alfred Vail demonstrated a telegraph using dots and dashes, the forerunner of Morse code. Crazy Horse and his warriors fought their last battle with the cavalry on this date in Montana in 1877. Herman Hollerith on this date in 1889 received a patent for his electric tabulating machine. And in 1918, President Wilson announced his 14 points for the aftermath of World War I. Conquest of Cuba by Fidel Castro completed on this date in 1959 with the conquest of Santiago de Cuba. In 1962, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa exhibited in the U.S. for the first time at the National Gallery of Art in Washington in 1962. In 1964, during his State of the Union address, President Johnson declared a war on poverty.
A world of peace and justice and freedom and abundance for our time and for all time to come.
President Johnson on this date in 1964. The trial of 7 men accused of placing bugs in Democratic Party headquarters at the Watergate Hotel began on this date in 1973. And 2 years later, on this date in 1975, Judge John Sirica ordered 3 major Watergate figures freed and reduced the sentences of the 3, John Dean, also Herbert Kalmbach, and Jeb Magruder, to the time they had already served.
We're very pleased with Judge Sirica's order. Of course, it's a tremendous surprise, and we're just very happy. I'm glad to be back with my family again. I'm just surprised and very pleased.
Kalmbach just as shocked as Magruder and Dean. Ella Grasso became governor of Connecticut on this date in 1975, becoming the first woman to serve as a governor in the U.S. who did not succeed her husband. AT&T agreed to divest itself of 22 subdivisions on this date in 1982.
Today's action clears the way for a new order in the telephone industry. It will encourage competition, and it will do so without sacrificing the American consumer's need for economical, dependable, and readily available telephone service.
AT&T Chairman Charles L. Brown. And it was on this date in 2011, sitting U.S. Congresswoman Gabby Gifford shot in the head along with 18 others in a mass shooting in Tucson, Arizona. Gifford survived the assassination attempt, but 6 others died, including John Roll, a federal judge.
She was shot through and through on one side of the head and went through her brain.
When you say optimistic, are you optimistic for full recovery? Is it too early to tell?
We cannot tell what kind of recovery, but I'm about as optimistic as it can get in this situation.
Dr. Peter Ree of the University of Arizona Medical Center updating reporters on Gifford's condition. And it was 5 years ago today, I should say, Iran struck back at the U.S. for killing Iran's top military commander, firing missiles at 2 Iraqi military bases housing American troops. More than 100 U.S. servicemen diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries. As Iran braced for a counterattack, the country's Revolutionary Guard shot down a Ukrainian jetliner after apparently mistaking it for a missile, killing 176 people. President Trump spoke about it the next day.
It was flying in a pretty rough neighborhood, and somebody could have made a mistake.
Giving Iran the benefit of the doubt, which is more than some people would do. Passing away on this date in history, inventor Eli Whitney. From the Our Gang comedies, Stymie, Matthew Beard. Also British actor Terry Thomas, actor Pat Buttram. From the Wendy's builder, I guess you'd have to call him, Dave Thomas. Lily from the Munsters, Yvonne DiCarlo, who had a wonderful career outside of being Lily in the movie days back in the 50s and 60s. Also, singer-songwriter, producer, pastor Andre Crouch, and screenwriter, director Buck Henry, all passing away on this date in history. This is the birth date of commentator, journalist Charles Osgood.
I'm Charles Osgood. I'll see you on the radio.
On the road, Charles Osgood did so much great work. Did radio commentary, television anchoring. We miss him very much. He passed away last year, I should say, at the age of 91. Also born on this date in history, of those who are no longer with us, he won an Oscar for Cyrano de Bergerac and The Caine Mutiny. Jose Ferrer, born on this date. Speed reading educator Evelyn Wood. From F Troop, Larry Storch, born on this date. Comedian Soupy Sales. Stephen Hawking. Yvette Mimieux. Musician David Bowie. And we can't forget about the king, Elvis Presley.
I went into Sun Records, and there was a guy in there that took down my name, told me he might call me sometime. So he called me about a year and a half later. I went in and I made my first record.
And that was the story of Elvis Presley, born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
The wonderful singer Shirley Bassey is 88 years old today. The last real game show host standing, Bob Eubanks, 87 today. From Field of Dreams and Uncle Buck, Gabby Hoffman, 43. From the Half-Blood Prince and Pitch Perfect, Freddie Stroma is 38. And Miley Cyrus's younger sister, actress Noah Cyrus, is 25. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 8th day of January as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
We'll get this Wednesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox underway in just a moment by starting off with an episode of Gangbusters from 76 years ago, January 8th, 1948, the case of the surprised Safecrackers.
At Kroger, an annual Boost membership just got even better. Now you can choose from Disney Plus with ads, Hulu with ads, or ESPN Plus on us when you sign up. Plus, enjoy unlimited free delivery, double fuel points, exclusive offers, and free items. Sign up for a Boost membership today. It's an easier way to save, including new streaming options to relax with while we deliver your groceries. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Your neighborhood just got cooler with Kroger Delivery's refrigerated trucks. Simply order groceries at the same great prices online as in-store, and we'll bring them to you fresh every time. And if that wasn't cool enough, you can now earn 4 times the fuel points after 4 with your digital coupon. Choose a next-day Kroger delivery time slot for 4 p.m. or later on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Must deliver by February 4th. Restrictions apply. See Kroger.com for details.
Most weight loss plans are one size fits all, not taking into account each person's individual needs. Noom is here to change that. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain. But it also takes into account your unique biological factors, which also affect weight loss success. The program helps you understand the science behind your eating choices and why you have cravings. Everyone's journey is different, so your daily lessons are personalized to you and your goals. One of the great things about Noom is that it's nourishing instead of restrictive. They focus on progress instead of perfection. You don't have to give up carbs, or anything for that matter. Have cravings? Food FOMO? Noom can help you lose weight while still enjoying your favorite foods. To date, Noom has helped more than 5.2 million people lose weight. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chief hope of our enemies is to divide the United States along racial and religious lines and thereby conquer us. Let's not spread prejudice. A divided America is a weak America. Through our behavior, we encourage the respect of our children and make them better neighbors to all races and religions. Remind them that being good neighbors has helped make our country great and kept her free. Thank you.
The day after Christmas, it had been 50 years since Jack Benny passed. We miss him a lot. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back 76 years, January 8th, 1949, an episode of Gangbusters, their 13th anniversary program.
And now, Grape Nuts, the heart of your BEB, presents Gangbusters.
Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case history.
Hey, mister, you sitting in front of your radio, and you, madam, do you feel droopy in the morning? Wouldn't you rather feel on your toes, full of zip, and ready to go?
Hey, who wouldn't?
Then what you need is BEB.
BEB, 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 wow!
And the best BEB includes Grape Nuts.
Gangbusters presents the case of the surprise safecrackers who looked for an easy fortune in stolen cash, but who didn't know that vigilant police officers had a preview of everything they plotted.
Gangbusters is happy to return to the Columbia Broadcasting System, where it started the first of its 565 broadcasts exactly 13 years ago. During the past few days, scores of telegrams and letters have been received wishing Gangbusters continued success in the part it plays in dramatizing the war against the underworld. Mayor Delesop S. Morrison of New Orleans, president of the American Municipal Association.
It is a genuine pleasure to congratulate Gangbusters on your 13th anniversary on the air, and through you, the many local and federal heroes of the never-ending fight against crime whose achievements have been dramatized on your program. Gangbusters has rendered an important public service to the nation and to law enforcement agencies everywhere.
Police Commissioner Thomas F. Sullivan of the city of Boston.
The Boston Police Department desires to express its appreciation of the cooperation you have given us over the years in which Gangbusters has been broadcast. Your radio presentation each week has been extremely effective in assisting all law enforcement officers.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan of Boston and Mayor Morrison of New Orleans. And now Gangbusters presents the Honorable John J. Sullivan, former Deputy Commissioner and Chief of Detectives of the New York City Police Department, to narrate tonight's case. Commissioner Sullivan.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Tonight's case deals with a highly specialized police technique called surveillance. This consists of skillfully training a known criminal for days, weeks, or even months until that criminal commits or attempts to commit a crime. A small group of detectives, part of the New York City Police Department and known as the Safe and Law Squad, are recognized experts at this work. A typical case in which this famous group of investigators was involved had its beginnings one afternoon last spring at a race course on Long Island. A man and woman were sitting on the clubhouse lawn between races. The man was studying his only Bible, the Daily Racing Form, and she listened to an announcement on the public address system concerning the next race.
In the fourth race, a change of jockeys. Jay Lewis will be up on number 5, half-track, instead of Divine as listed in your program. Post time of the fourth race is 3:07.
Change of jockeys. That means something?
Yeah, it means this kid will ride the 5 horse instead of the other one. Now, let me alone, will you? I'm trying to come up with the figure horse. 4, 11, 16, 24, 32.
Al,
What?
I like this one, this Uncle Jack here.
What's the matter? Can't you read? He's 30-1.
I like him.
Why?
Because it says here, what does out of mean?
That's the name of the horse's mother.
Well, the horse's mother is named Blue Jersey, and I look good in blue jersey.
That's the reason, huh?
That's as good as any reason you got. All those figures and everything. Well, you play horses, you got to get an A in arithmetic.
Look, if you like this horse so much, Mona, just take your $2, walk up to the window, get yourself a ticket, that's all.
Place a show.
I'll be a sport for your $2. Play him to win. Now, leave me alone. 8, 11, 19, 30.
Hello, Al.
Okay.
How you doing?
Well, Ryan, what do you say?
Nothing much. Didn't know you were out yet.
Oh, yeah. I joined the Sing Sing Alumni Association 4 months ago.
Haven't seen you around, Al.
And you won't see him around either. I'm a square John now. I got a used car lot in Brooklyn.
What's the matter? Don't you like the other?
I like the fresh air.
My name is Mona.
Oh, yeah. Mona, meet Ryan.
Glad to know you.
Pleasure's all mine.
Well, how about it, Ryan? You got any information on any good things this afternoon?
Have you? Well, glad to hear you're out.
Thanks. And give my regards to all the boys. You lousy, no-good clown.
What's the matter? Looks like a real nice guy to me.
No, he does he? That's the guy that stuck me away for 3 to 5. He's a cop, a sergeant.
Oh?
Coming around here with that glad to see you, how you doing routine.
Can't blame him for having an interest in his past clients.
I'll give him an interest. Now, look, don't say nothing to Tommy about me running into a cop.
What's the matter? Tommy ain't too young to know the facts of life.
Just don't say nothing to Tommy. I don't like him to worry. This Ryan guy's asleep on his feet. That was pure luck he grabbed me before. Pure luck.
Horses in the fourth race.
Now, come on, we better get our bets done.
Okay.
Safe and Law Squad, Captain Hanson.
Sergeant Ryan, boss.
Oh, hello, Ryan. Where are you?
I'm out at the track, checking around.
What's up?
Ran into an old friend of ours, boss.
Yeah, who's that?
Al Gardo.
Al Oh, yeah. When did he get out?
4 or 5 months ago, he says. Says he's been playing it square. Says he's got a used car lot in Brooklyn.
You think it's so, Ryan?
Well, I'll tell you, boss. He's been patronizing that $100 mutual window all afternoon. And the used car business ain't that good, unless he's the smiling Irishman, which he ain't.
Yeah. Where is he now?
Adler's got his eye on him, and the girl. The clubhouse yet. From Sing Sing to the clubhouse out here.
Say, Ryan, that gang that's been giving us the trouble lately, you think Al has any connection?
Well, Al's a safe man, and those weren't cracker boxes that got busted into.
All right, Ryan. You and Adler stay with him a while. See where he goes.
Can you imagine? This horse has got a mother named Blue Jersey. That's all I know about him. Ask Al. So I put
Mona,
Yeah, Tommy?
go out in the kitchen and fix some drinks. Yeah, Mona, I could stand a drink.
Hey, since when have I been a barmaid around here?
Go on, will you, baby? The bottle is on the sink. The ice is in the icebox.
Thanks. I'd never think of looking for ice in the icebox. Imagine ice in the icebox.
Didn't I tell you to take a look around down in Greenpoint this afternoon? Well, Tommy, I started.
So you went to the track instead. I'm sitting here waiting to hear that you got a box to crack and you're out in the sunshine at the races. Listen, either you're a safe man or a sport. Now make up your mind, Al. I got no time to kiss away.
Okay. I'll have a look around tomorrow afternoon.
What's the matter with the morning?
Now, listen, Tommy, I got to put in some time at the used car lot. If I got a front, I got to take advantage of it.
All right. Locate that safe.
Didn't I say I would?
Boys are getting anxious. Ain't had a touch in a week now. Last one wasn't as big as we figured.
I'll line up something. I need to do myself.
Bad day at the track, huh?
Wasn't good. Only Mona hits. Out of the dark, she picks this 30-1 shot, and only $2 she had on it. A lousy $2 ticket.
Okay. Now, scout up something, will you? Watch out for those safe and loft cops. Could be 2 feet behind you. You never know they were there.
Tommy, if you worry about cops, you die young.
Those safe and loft cops you got to worry about. Now, you're sure nobody's been behind you?
Now, look, wouldn't I have said something if there was? I ain't seen a cop since I got out, not even one on a motorcycle. Now, don't worry about it.
Listen, Al. Anytime you figure yourself smarter than those guys, you're a dead pigeon. Believe me, those safe and loft guys are operators.
Hey, Giano.
Yeah, Sergeant Ryan, what?
Captain in there?
Yeah, Ryan, he's been asking for you.
Hello, Captain.
Come in, Ryan.
Well, Captain, Al and the girl went right from the track to this house on 111th. Adler and I stuck around until the relief came to take over. Mm-hmm. Al's still in there.
Did you find out anything about the guy Al's visiting?
Well, the mailbox says Tommy Fay, but you can't go by mailboxes, and what the janitor said.
Tommy Fay? Doesn't ring a bell with me.
One of us will get a look at him when he steps outside.
I don't think we ought to wait that long, Ryan. Did Adler come back with you?
Yeah, he's out there.
Yes, Captain. Tell Adler to step in here.
Yes, sir.
Well, I've got some information on Al for you, Ryan.
Yeah?
Yeah, that used car lot of his. Couldn't support a guy that drinks nothing but milk.
Uh-huh.
It's a 2x4 affair. This morning there were just 2 jalops and a beat-up panel truck on sale, that's all. The Motor Vehicle Bureau says he registered sales and only 2 cars out of there since the 1st of April.
Well, that settles it for me, boss. Al's out on a make again.
With this Tommy Fay?
Yeah, whoever he is.
All right, Ryan, keep somebody on Al around the clock. He's our key man until we find out who this Tommy Fay is.
Yeah, Captain.
Come in, Adler.
What's up? I got to go back and take over from Donahue tailing Al.
We'll send somebody else, Adler. Now, look, tomorrow morning I want you to go out on 111th and knock on the door. See if you can get a good enough look at this Tommy Fay to make him.
How?
How about the magazine subscription routine?
No, he wouldn't even open up the door.
The, Giuseppe Garibaldi Society?
Well, we don't know for sure he's Italian.
Janitor said he might be.
Okay, Adler. Try that. But watch your step.
Yeah? What do you want?
Io rappresento la società di Giuseppe Garibaldi.
No. Go home, will you? I got no interest in society.
La nostra società.
Speak English, will you?
This society is in the desperate needs of funds for its work, neighbor. We would like a pledge from you.
Get your pledges off somebody else. I don't believe in charity.
Please.
No. Now go on home.
Captain Hanson.
Adler, Captain.
Did you get in?
I didn't get in, but I saw him. Tommy Fay is Tommy DeLuca.
DeLuca?
I'll take an oath on it.
Get in here as fast as you can, Adler. Ryan. Sergeant Ryan.
Yeah, boss. What is it?
Adler just called. Fay is Tommy DeLuca.
Well.
Yeah. I'll detail 4 or 5 more men to work on this thing. Tell them to report in my office in half an hour for instructions.
You betcha, Captain. Right away. Well, gangbuster listeners, Tommy DeLuca was a well-known safecracker, and the Safe and Law Squad had lost track of him for many months. Now, though it took a gun battle in a darkened corridor, they were never again to lose track of him.
Madam, I wouldn't be so bold as to ask how old you are. But tell me, round 11 o'clock in the morning, how old do you feel? About twice as old? Do you wilt? Then what you need is a BEB.
B-E-B, 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 wow!
BEB means Basic Energy Breakfast. The kind of breakfast food experts say everyone should eat every morning. The kind of breakfast that gives you energy and zip, that makes you feel like licking your weight in Wildcats. What should a Basic Energy Breakfast consist of? Fruit or juice, toast and your favorite beverage, and cereal. And that's where Grape Nuts comes in. Grape Nuts is a cereal that gives you Nourishment Plus. Why, it's a fact that just one serving of Grape Nuts with milk and sugar gives you more nourishment than an egg and a slice of bacon. Plus a wonderful flavor that says, give me more. Give me more Grape Nuts. Grape Nuts, the cereal that's different, with those satisfying little kernels that stay crisp to the last spoonful. Remember, Grape Nuts give you plenty of healthy nourishment and a fine, tempting flavor you can really enjoy. And if you want to beat that mid-morning letdown, be sure you get your BEB and make Grape Nuts the heart of your basic energy breakfast. And now Grape Nuts takes you back to Gangbusters. And here again is tonight's narrator, the Honorable John J. Sullivan, former Chief of Detectives and Deputy Police Commissioner of the City of New York.
As you know, the famous Safe and Loft Squad of the New York City Police Department had picked up the trail of Tommy DeLuca, alias Tommy Fay, one of the most notorious safecrackers of recent years. So Captain Hanson of the Safe and Loft Squad ordered detectives to keep him under surveillance, waiting for a move. After several nights of inactivity, police followed Al Goddard and Tommy DeLuca to a bar in the Coney Island section of Brooklyn.
Should have taken Mona with us tonight, Tommy. She'll be mad.
Yeah, let us stay home one night. Rest will do her good. Besides, we got to talk about how we're going to take that warehouse.
Oh, yeah. That watchman they got. I don't like watchmen. Suppose I scout around for another safe.
Yes, what's a watchman? There'll be four of us, and we'll have heaters. He's old, ain't he?
He's not young.
So he won't be a problem. The problem is, will there be much dough in the safe?
There usually is.
How do you know?
The drivers make collections. Where they're going to put the dough until the bank opens in the morning in the sugar bowl.
Uh-huh. When's payday there?
Fridays.
Okay. Safe ought to be loaded Thursday night. That's when we take it.
Oh, not Thursday night, Tommy.
Why not Thursday night?
Well, the Dodgers got a night game with the Braves. I promised Mona.
Listen, there's a baseball game every day.
Yeah, but Tommy, this game's important. It's a crucial series.
Uh-huh. Okay. Get 5 seats.
5? Why 5?
Ebbets Field's a good place to have the boys meet us.
Yeah, that's right, it is. But what about Mona?
What about her?
Well, I promised to take her to the game.
And take her.
How about the job?
So, she can give us a little help.
How?
She can sit in the car outside the joint with Nick. Anybody comes along, think they're a couple of lovers parked.
I don't know if she'll go for it, Tommy.
She'll go for it. She's been riding the gravy train long enough. Better start shoveling some coal into the boiler. Come on, let's get out of here.
Well, Captain, don't look like tonight's tonight.
Well, Ryan, I guess they're headed home.
I ain't sorry either, boys. Not that I wouldn't like that Tommy nailed as fast as we can, but my feet are killing me.
Watch it now. I think they're going to turn at 110th.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, all right.
Yeah. Hal's taking Tommy home. Well, I guess they won't crack into any place tonight. But keep behind them, Ryan, just to make sure.
Okay, boys.
Hello?
Al?
Yeah, hello, Tommy.
Where you been? I called this number 3 times.
You wanted me to give the ball game tickets to the boys, didn't you? That's where I've been.
They all set?
Didn't I tell you it was a crucial series that tickled to death?
I don't mean about the game. I mean about the other.
Yeah, Tommy, that's it.
Vince will bring the tools?
Yeah, he's got them. We'll drive to the ballpark in our car and leave it. Vince will meet us at Ebbets Field. He'll have his car parked on Bedford Avenue. We'll use that for the job. It's all worked out. But I don't see no sense to it.
Listen, there's plenty of sense to it. These Safe and Loft guys are everywhere. How about Mona?
Well...
You told her, didn't you?
Yeah, Tommy. I told her, but she don't care too much for the idea.
Well, tell her again and make her care for it. You got her around enough, she ought to help out once in a while.
Okay. She'll help out. I'll see you at Ebbets Field, tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, I got 8 to 5, says the Brooks take the Braves.
I ain't interested in the ball game. Just be there.
You don't have to worry about me, Tommy. I'll be there for the batting practice.
Number 6, batting in place of Hodges. For Brooklyn, Torello, number 6, batting in place of Hodges.
Ryan, keep your eye on Tommy.
We won't lose him, Captain.
Well, this will probably be the last batter. Get set to take out after them.
You know, you think they'd leave early if tonight's the night. Especially with Brooklyn so far behind and 2 out in the ninth.
Yeah, well, maybe tonight isn't the night. Where's Adler?
He went down closer to them. Uh-oh, he's going to pitch to him.
There it is. The pop-up. It's all over.
And there they go, boys.
Okay.
Hey, they've cut out across the field.
The car's on this side. So maybe they're changing cars. Come on. Pardon us, please.
You see Adler?
No, I don't see him. Can you still see Tommy?
Yeah, I can see Tommy, but I don't think we can get to him. Pardon us, please. Excuse us.
Hey! Take it.
Excuse us, please. Coming through.
Coming through here, please. Coming through.
What do you suppose they're up to?
This must be it, Brian. Here, coming through here, please.
Excuse us, please.
Coming through, please.
Coming through. Excuse us, please.
Honest, Tommy, I couldn't enjoy the ball game thinking about changing cars and all this crazy business.
At least we're sure there's no safe and loft guys behind us. Right, guys?
That's right.
And speaking of the ball game, Al, how about paying off your little bet with me? The Brooklyns can't be beat. Ha!
Okay, I'll pay it off later. We got more important things on our mind tonight.
Listen, now, don't you try to Welsh on me, Al.
He'll pay you off later. Now, you all set on what you got to do, Mona?
I'm all set, but I don't like it none.
All you got to do is sit in the car with Nick and get a little close. Now, that's all.
I don't see why you have to drag me into it.
You're in it, so that's that. All right, boys. You got it straight how we're going to take care of the watchman?
Got it.
Then do it just like I told you. We got nothing to worry about, except how we're going to spend the money.
No sign of them, Captain.
Well, they must have switched cars. That means tonight's the night. Have you seen Adler?
No place. It's tough we lost him after all this work.
Yeah. All right, look, Ryan. You stay here and watch the car Tommy left. I'm going to get the office on the phone. As soon as Mackey shows up, meet me in that candy store.
Right. You betcha, Captain.
Okay, old timer.
Hey.
Now, don't try nothing unless you want a lead slug in your belly.
I'm not going to try anything.
That's the way to cooperate, old timer.
We're after the safe, and we're going to take it without any trouble from you.
All right. I won't give you any trouble.
Okay, boys. Get them tied up.
But I got to ring in on my calls. If I don't, the alarm company will be down here.
All right. Just be sure you don't ring in anything phony. You get that slug in the belly for sure.
Yeah.
Which way's the next call box, old timer?
Straight down there.
Hey, you go with him. See, you don't pull anything.
Yeah.
Go on, mister.
All right, I'm going.
All right, come on, boys. Safe's in there. Who's got the tools?
I got it.
Then let's go get it.
Safe and Loft Squad, Detective Jono.
Hello, Jono. Adler, listen.
Adler, Captain Hanson's calling in on the other phone. He wants you.
And I want him.
Well, hold on. I'll cross-connect you. Captain Hanson.
Yes?
Adler just called in on the other phone. I'll cross-connect you.
Good. Make it snappy.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Captain, where are you, Adler? Listen, Captain, I managed to stay behind them in a cab. Good. Where are they? They broke into the Atlantic Terminal Company warehouse, 362 Maspeth. You got it? Got it. They're still inside. Okay, we'll be there in 5 minutes. Now, listen, Captain. The girl and one of them are parked on Maspeth as lookouts. You better come down and stew it. You handle those two? Sure. All right, take care of them. We'll be along in about 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are two things you want in a breakfast cereal. Lots of nourishment and a wonderful flavor. Grape Nuts gives you both. Why, just one bowl of grape nuts with milk and sugar gives you more nourishment than an egg and a slice of bacon. And that's why Grape Nuts is the best cereal for your BEB, your basic energy breakfast. The kind of breakfast that gives you more energy to beat that droopy morning letdown. And you'll like the taste of Grape Nuts tremendously. They have a malty, rich, sweet as a nut flavor that brings you back for more. So if you droop before noon, if you don't feel lively in the morning, make sure you get your BEB. And make sure you make Grape Nuts the heart of your basic energy breakfast. Ask your grocer for Grape Nuts tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Sunday.
Oh, so it is. Go to church tomorrow and buy Grape Nuts on Monday. And now, Grape Nuts takes you back to Gangbusters.
There's Adler, Captain, right by that car.
Okay, Ryan, pull up alongside. Come on, boys.
Right, Captain.
Everything okay, Adler?
Just perfect, Captain. What do we do with these two?
I didn't do anything. Honest, I didn't do anything.
We'll see about that later, sister. Mackie, keep your eye on these two. Come on, men.
Right. They got in through the freight entrance, Captain. I think we can make it the same way.
All right, hold it here. You. Go around, cover the other side of the building.
Right.
Okay, Ryan, let's go. Adler.
Yeah, Captain.
We'll go in first. You back us up, okay?
Right. Watch it going up on the freight dock, Captain.
Yeah. All right, go on up.
All right.
Adler?
Yeah.
All right, here I come. Okay, let's go. Watch this Tommy, fellas. He's always carried a gun on jobs.
Don't worry, boss.
That door there.
Okay, open it up. All right, let's go in.
There's a light back there.
Yeah, that's them. Let's take them. Okay.
Come on. Can't be all night with this box.
They're in here. Let's get them. Open the door.
All right, get him up. Get him up, all of you. Not me, copper. What? Okay, that's enough.
All right. All of you stay where you are. Get your hands in the air. Come on. Watch them, Ryan.
Don't worry, Captain. Ah, here's Tommy. Looks like he's through.
And I'm here to help me, will you guys?
Sure, we'll help you, Al. Right back to Sing Sing, where you came from.
All right. Now, Ollie, get over against that wall and sit down. We got to see what's what around here.
Go on, he said. Against the wall.
Well, gangbusters listeners, that was the end of this syndicate of dangerous safecrackers. Their leader, Thomas DeLuca, is dead, and the second in command seriously wounded. All convicted members of this gang are now serving long terms in Sing Sing.
Thank you very much, Commissioner John J. Sullivan, for this memorable insight into the work of the famous Safe and Loft Squad of the New York City Police Department. And gangbusters, congratulations to all the courageous and hardworking officers who participated in this investigation. Now, Gangbusters is proud to present the Honorable Fred A. Roth, Chief of Police of Morristown, New Jersey, and past president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police.
Thank you. I congratulate Gangbusters on its 13th anniversary and wish it continued success in dramatizing in an authentic manner the achievements of our nation's police forces. Today, face to face with a mounting wave of crime, America's police need as never before the understanding and the enlightened cooperation of the citizens of our country. Those who are tempted to break the law must be convinced that crime does not pay. Those who are law-abiding must learn generously and wisely to give full cooperation to their police forces. Earlier in this program, you have heard messages from Police Commissioner Thomas F. Sullivan of Boston and Mayor Deliceps S. Morrison of New Orleans. Now, a message from the Honorable Thomas D. Alessandro, Jr., Mayor of Baltimore.
As Mayor of the City of Baltimore and Chairman of the Standing Committee on Legislation of the United States Conference of Mayors, I heartily congratulate Gangbusters radio program on its 13th anniversary and wish it continued success in informing our citizens of the splendid work of the federal, state, and local law enforcement officers who so zealously guard our safety. With enemies boring from without and within, we must be ever alert to the danger to our national security And our nation is fortunate in having fearless, efficient, and vigilant protection by the duly constituted law officials of the nation.
And from the Honorable Edmund G. Brown, District Attorney of the City and County of San Francisco.
Congratulations on the 13th anniversary of Gangbusters and continued success in bringing to the attention of the public the splendid work of the nation's police and other law enforcement bodies.
And here is a telegram from the Honorable Donald S. Leonard, Commissioner of the Michigan State Police.
Congratulations to Gangbusters on the 13th anniversary of its series of programs dedicated to proving the truth of the oft-repeated warning, the crime does not pay. The influence which this has exerted in behalf of law enforcement deserves the commendation of enforcement officials.
I know these fine messages to Gangbusters express the considered opinion of many other law enforcement officials in all the 48 states, their counties, and their cities.
Thank you, Chief of Police Fred A. Roth of Morristown, New Jersey, past president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police.
Next week, the case of the masquerading gunman who staged the biggest bank robbery in Oregon history, but who found that when the masks were down, the prize for the best performance went to the men in police uniform.
Listen next week, same time, same CBS station, to the amazing facts in the case of the masquerading gunman on Gangbusters. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Niss and directed by William Sweets, with Frank Reddick and Larry Haynes in leading roles. Jay Jackson speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production. Gangbusters has been presented by Grape Nuts, the delicious malty-rich cereal that gives you Nourishment Plus. So make Grape Nuts the heart of your BEB, the heart of your basic energy breakfast. Grape Nuts. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
76 years ago, January 8th, 1949, Gangbusters on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And given that it was January of 1949, I have to wonder if this was part of the CBS talent raids, that they brought Gangbusters back. It could possibly have been. Also, coming up next, we're going to go back 90 years to another show, classic, Calling All Cars, a West Coast program sponsored by Rio Grande Gasoline.
This is Debbie Reynolds. If you've been wondering what you can do to fight communism personally from your own home, there is something you can do. Support Radio Free Europe, the station built and financed by the contributions of the American public to the crusade for freedom. Radio Free Europe is one Cold War operation the communists fear and attack constantly. Support Radio Free Europe. Send your truth dollars to Crusade for Freedom, care of your local postmaster.
We continue now on Classic Radio Theater by going back 90 years to January 8th, 1935, an episode of Calling All Cars, the West Coast program sponsored by Rio Grande Gasoline and produced by William N. Robeson. This episode entitled Crime Does Not Pay.
Calling All Cars, a presentation of the Rio Grande Oil Company.
Oakland Police calling all cars. Attention all cars, broadcast 59. Regarding a murder. Patrolman William Kohler was found shot in the back a few moments ago. Suspects unknown. That's all.
Tonight, Rio Grande makes a sensational new offer. A free gift for everyone who listens to Calling All Cars. Full details at the end of this program. Are you having trouble starting your car these cold mornings? Then try the fastest starting gasoline on the market, Rio Grande Cracked Gasoline. The cracking process looses extra energy atoms that flash into action at your first step on the starter. And then you've got power, more power than you need. Power that protects you against driving emergencies. That's what police car performance means. And that's why more police cars in California and Arizona use Rio Grande cracked gasoline than any other brand. Why don't you enjoy police car performance in your car? It costs no more. And remember, at the end of this program, Rio Grande offers you a gift, free. And now, it is with great pleasure that we take you to San Francisco, where you will hear from Bodie Wallman, Chief of the Oakland Police Department. Take it away, San Francisco.
Good evening. Our case tonight directs your attention to the vital problem of juvenile delinquency, one of the most important forces with which police officers are to face. A large part of the crime prevention activities of your police departments is concerned with juvenile work to prevent potential criminals from becoming actual ones. Opposing this concerted effort of your police are powerful factors. First, the natural restlessness of the juvenile adolescent. Second, the present economic situation, which makes it almost impossible for the youth to find work when the lack of funds or of interest separates him from his high school or college studies. And third, the most important, the pernicious practice of a few industries in painting criminals as exciting, thrilling heroes. Where were the sympathies of the youth of the nation when the police of a score of states were hunting for John Dillinger? Who but Al Capone was the great American hero of Prohibition? Too long have our police officers been considered annoying persons who curtailed your right to exceed the speed limit, burn rubbish at unlawful hours, or commit other simple misdemeanors. The policeman shares with the fireman the distinction of being the greatest hero in peacetime life. Daily he stands to give his life to protect yours. For this he receives a modest salary, and in the case of the supreme sacrifice, his widow receives a moderate pension. Beyond this reward, he receives, more often than not, the criticism and ridicule by certain factors. It is for this reason that the police officers of the West hail with such enthusiasm Calling All Cars, which, for more than a year, has told the policeman's side of the story. Tonight, I am pleased to bring to you a story of two boys who worshipped well but not wisely at the shrine of the gangster. They set out to emulate their heroes. They conducted their career in true storybook fashion, but they could not win. They, as every other criminal who tried to beat the game, discovered that crime does not pay.
It is the middle of June in 1931. School is out, and long, lazy vacation days stretch ahead for Sam Thompson and Ted Mason, two Oakland high school boys. Lying on their backs under eucalyptus trees in the backyard, they discuss their summer plans.
You know, Sam, we simply got to get down to the ROTC camp on the 1st.
You're telling me.
If we don't get through that summer course, we won't have as good a chance to get appointments to West Point next year.
Well, I know that, too, but how the heck are we going to get down there? My dad told me that business was shot and he couldn't give me any money for expenses.
Yeah, I know. I got the same story at home, too. Gee, $40 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
We could sell magazines or something.
Well, before you sold enough magazines to get $40, camp would be over and school would be started again.
Yeah, that's right.
Gee, I'd do anything to go to West Point.
Anything?
Sure. Boy, just think of it. Wearing those high shakos with the plumes on them and those uniforms with 21 gold buttons and marching across the parade ground in the afternoons with all the pretty girls standing on the side and looking at you. Boy, that's the life.
Yeah. Gee, we gotta get some money.
You know, I've been thinking. You remember how Jaime Waters got his start?
What do you mean?
Well, he stuck up gas stations.
Are you crazy, Sam?
No, I was just thinking.
Oh, I don't want to be no Jaime Waters. I want to go to West Point.
Well, who said anything about becoming a beer baron? But we do need $40.
Well, I'm not sticking up any gas stations.
Well, we wouldn't even have to do that.
What would you do?
Well, we could strip some cars and sell the stuff.
That isn't honest, Sam. I don't want to go to jail.
No, it's easy. Gosh, do it like they do in the movies. You just pull up to a car on a dark street, unscrew the spotlight and the wind wings, and take the tire off.
But that's stealing.
No, it isn't really. Guys that have a lot of junk on their car have it all insured. Heck, they just turn in a claim and the insurance company pays them.
Well, it's stealing from the insurance company.
No, it isn't. Oh, gee, the insurance companies have millions of dollars, and all we need is $40.
Well, if you could figure it was sort of a loan.
Sure you could. Maybe someday we could pay them back.
Yeah, maybe we could. When we get to be captains in the Army. That'd make it all right, wouldn't it?
Of course it would. How much money you got?
50 cents.
Oh, that isn't enough. We gotta have a gun.
A gun? What for?
Well, for protection, of course. You can't go around stripping cars without protection. And then we gotta rent a car.
Why?
For our getaway.
Yeah, but that costs money.
Well, if you can't get any dough, I know where I can, and I'll buy a gun.
Well, where are you going to get the money?
Oh, I know where Ma keeps her grocery money. I'll borrow some for a couple of days. And then here's what we'll do. We'll drive down the road.
It is midnight of June 28th. Patrolman Hendrickson is cruising around his beat near the waterfront of Alameda when he sees two cars pulled up side by side at the foot of Pacific Avenue. Hendrickson stops his police car and crosses the street to investigate.
Well, what's the matter, boys? Having a little trouble?
Why, oh, yes.
Yeah, my ignition's gone dead on me.
Ignition gone dead, eh? Well, do you have to take off the spotlight to fix the ignition?
Well, no, but you see, we were...
Yes, I think I do. I see a couple of young punks out stripping cars. You better come along with me.
Oh, no, we won't.
Now, don't pull any gun on me. Oh.
Sam, you shouldn't have.
Oh, he ain't hurt. I just knocked the wind out of him. That star saved his life.
Oh.
Now, listen, coppers. Stick up your hands high. Get his gun, Ted. Here you are. And his handcuffs.
Yeah.
Now, snap his bracelets on. All right, let's get out of here.
Sam, you shouldn't have shot at him.
Why not? If he'd taken us in, they'd make jailbirds out of us. And we'd get thrown out of school and we'd never get to go to West Point. We gotta save our reputation.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
A few days later, Ted and Sam steal a car in Piedmont and go up to a secluded spot in the hills behind Oakland for some target practice.
Boy, am I getting good. He hit the tree both times that time.
You were pretty good the other night, the way you hit that cop right on the star.
Yeah, well, it's a lucky thing for him that star was in the way, or he'd be a dead copper.
And then you'd be a murderer.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be a murderer, but we got to get good with these gats so we can get the draw first.
Yeah.
Ah, you missed it by a mile.
I guess I need a lot of practice.
Well, we better get it some other time. We only got a gun full of shells left, and we'll need them for tonight.
Okay, let's go. Gee, this is a swell gat we took from that copper.
Yeah, I'll say it is.
Say, Sam. Look at that car coming up here. Looks like a cop in it.
Oh, it is a cop. Come on, let's get out of here.
Just a minute, boys. What's the hurry?
Oh, nothing.
What are you doing up here?
Nothing. Just looking at the view.
Thought I heard some shooting up here, did you?
Oh, no.
Got your driver's license with you?
Yes.
Have a look at it.
Oh, here you are.
Mm-hmm. Where's your registration card?
Why, I don't know.
It's supposed to be on the steering post of the car.
Yeah, I know.
Who's the car registered to?
Oh, I don't know that either.
Well, I guess you kids better take a ride with me. Get out. Now, I'll just take a look at this license number.
Should we make a break for it?
He's got your right name.
Well, let's give him the works.
Oh, Sam.
It's the only thing we can do. Think of our reputations.
Okay.
Let him have it.
Come on, we got to get out of here.
Wait a minute. I got to get that book and my license from him.
But, Sam, he's lying right in front of the car. We can't go ahead.
Well, we're not going to back out. We'll run over him.
Oh, gee, Sam.
Get in and quit squawking. The wheels will clear him all right.
Do you suppose we killed him?
Oh, I don't know, but we better get out of town fast.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Fill her up with Rio Grande cracked.
Okay. How do you like this crack, mister?
Okay, it gives me first-rate performance.
That's what they all say.
Well, for the love of Pete, will you look at that kid running down the road? If he don't watch himself, he's going to take a nasty spill.
Hey, mister. Hey, there's a dead policeman off the road.
What?
Yeah, no kidding. He's lying right in the middle of the road up at the top of the hill. He's been shot.
Okay, I'll call police headquarters right away. It is a matter of minutes before Inspectors Bill Marshall and Eugene Murphy arrive at the scene of the crime.
Bill Kohler. Shot through the head. 25 years he's been on the force, and he has to wind up this way.
Not a single witness, apparently. This will be a fine mess to unravel.
He might have been hit by a stray shot from a hunter.
No, not likely. Look here. Hey, you got one on the back, too. It doesn't make sense that 2 stray shots had hit him.
And he's been murdered.
Yeah, but by who? Why?
That's the question.
Well, let's figure this thing out. The road curves away less than 100 yards ahead and behind. You got a canyon over here to the right and a hill covered with trees to the left. So the job could be done without anyone seeing it.
And a fine chance you'd have tracking anyone. The concrete road doesn't hold any marks, and neither would these pine needles and eucalyptus leaves to the side.
All right. But wait a minute. Something funny about the position of his car here. It's parked in the middle of the road. Wait until I measure that. About 8 feet from the curb. And Kohler's lying with his feet a little ahead of the car and the body practically parallel to the curb.
Meaning what?
I don't know yet. And take a look at his gun, Marshal, while I give this clearing the once over. Now, there were 2 of them.
How do you know?
I just found 17 empty shells and other leaves. And they were fired from 2 different guns. Look at the difference in these firing pin marks.
What were they doing over there?
Target practice. There were 4 bullet holes in that tree in the center of the clearing.
4 out of 17 at 25 feet. It's not very good shooting.
Yeah, yet they hit Bill Kohler at 50 feet.
They didn't shoot him from there.
How do you know?
Well, why would he park out in the middle of the street 8 feet from the curb? He must have stopped alongside another car, and they must have been in it, or he'd have pulled up behind or in front.
All right, suppose they were in the car, and he pulled up and questioned them. About what?
I don't know, but he was suspicious of something. He got some information he put down in his notebook.
What was it?
I don't know, because they took his notebook. Must have taken it to conceal whatever he wrote down.
But why did he get out of his car?
He wanted to take down their license number. You can tell that by where he was standing, a few feet in front of the car.
Yeah, but they couldn't have shot from inside the car without breaking the windshield.
Well, they must have got out.
What for?
Well, let's suppose he ordered them out and was going to take them to the station in his car. He got out to take the license number, and they let him have it.
Well, sounds reasonable. 1 bullet hits Bill in the face, he wheels around and starts to fall, and the other gets him in the back.
Right.
So then they jump in the car and drive away, but in which direction?
Well, that's easy. Straight ahead.
How do you figure that?
Look at that black smudge on Bill's coat.
Yeah?
Automobile grease. Dirty, dried grease like you find on a crankcase housing.
Meaning?
Meaning they drove right over him and the grease rubbed off the crankcase onto his coat.
You're a regular Philo Vance, aren't you?
Don't call me any dirty names.
Oh, no offense. Philo Vance is a great detective in these here crime novels.
Oh.
Well, then, Hawkshaw, maybe you can tell me what kind of a car they drove.
I think I can.
Go ahead, I'm waiting.
You see that pile of leaves?
Yeah?
The wheels went right over them. Ground some of them to dust, and I marked the width of a Ford tire. It's a fresh track or the wind would blow it away.
That's right. The wind's blowing the dust away this minute.
That's okay. We're looking for a Ford with the crankcase grease wiped off. Come on, let's go.
Yes, sir. Some gasoline?
Are you the man who called us about the murder up the road?
Oh, yeah. You detectives?
All right. Do you remember the cars that have come down this canyon in the past hour or so?
Yeah, I think I do.
How many were there?
Oh, about half a dozen.
How about a Ford with 2 men in it going pretty fast?
Yeah, I remember that car. A convertible Ford coupe.
What do they look like?
A couple of young fellows. One had on a red sweater. They didn't wear any hats.
Fine. Got a phone here?
Yes, sir.
Good. I'll give headquarters that description right away.
Oakland police calling all cars. Attention all cars. A stolen car. A Ford coupe. License 1H Henry 4197. 1 Henry 4197. This car may have been used by the murderers of Patrolman William Kohler. That's all.
The next day, the Ford Coupe, the only convertible reported stolen on the day of the murder, is found parked at 5th Avenue and 19th Street. Murphy and Marshall immediately investigate the car.
Now I'll get a look under that crankcase.
The street's awfully dirty. Watch your suit.
No, I don't care about that. I'm going to try to find out whether this is the car that those hoodlums used. Hey, Marshal.
Yeah?
It is. The crankcase is clean of grease and one strip down the middle.
What a break.
All right. The next thing is to get this car towed into headquarters and go over it for prints right away.
After photographers have gone over the car for fingerprints, and Marshall checks the prints against his records, he reports to Captain Bodie Wallman.
Well, Marshal, how do those prints stack up?
They don't, Captain. We haven't anyone on record with the same prints.
Do the prints you found on the car match with those of the owner or his family?
No, I checked that.
Then the chances are our murderers haven't the record. That makes our job a little tougher.
I've been checking the records also for recent crimes where 2 young men were involved.
Find anything?
Yeah. Remember Hendrickson over in Alameda being shot at the other night?
Yeah, that's right. They were a couple of young fellows, weren't they?
Yep. I'm going over to Alameda and have a talk with him.
Patrolman Hendrickson recounts his skirmish with death to the officers. After hearing the details of the incident, Marshall hurries on to more pertinent information.
What kind of a gun was it they stole from you?
38.
Bill Kohler was killed with a 38. Maybe it was yours. You got any empty shells from your gun?
Yeah. I think there's some in this desk. Yep. Here's a couple of them.
Uh-huh. It was the same gun. See the mark this firing pin made?
Yeah.
It left the same mark on the shells we found up in the hills where Bill was killed. What those fellows look like?
Well, one was medium height with dark curly hair. He was wearing a red sweater. The other was taller and had his hair slicked back. They were about 17 or 18.
Pretty young to be murderers.
Oh, they weren't hard guys. Matter of fact, they were a little scared.
What kind of a car were they driving?
A Chrysler Coupe.
Yeah, did you get the license number?
Well, I didn't have much time to get it, but I noticed it began with a 9F.
Well, that'll do for a starter. Now I'll have to go over the hot sheet for the past week and see if any Chrysler with a number beginning 9F has been stolen.
Failing to find any Chrysler coupes with the described license plates reported stolen, Marshall and Murphy direct their attention to the auto rental companies in Oakland. They visit 14 of them with no success, and then they enter the office of the You Drive It on 19th Street.
Well, what can I do for you?
What kind of cars do you rent here?
Fords and Chryslers.
Do any of the license numbers on the Chryslers begin with 9F?
All of them do. Why?
We're from police headquarters making a little investigation.
Would your record show who rented these cars at any given time?
Oh, yes. We take a complete record of name, address, age, and occupation of every customer.
That's swell. Did you have a Chrysler Coupe out on June 28th?
Well, now let me see. Yep, there were 3 of them.
Now, the fellow we're looking for is about 17 or 18.
Say, I remember him. Here's his name, Ted Mason, and he lives on California Street. He gave his occupation as a high school student. He wore a red sweater, as I remember it.
That's the guy.
Yeah, but how do you know he didn't give you a fake name and address?
Well, I made me show him his driver's license. And because he was underage, I sent him home for a letter from his parents. And when he brought it, I called his mother back to make sure it was genuine.
That's fine. Come on, Murphy. Now we're getting someplace.
Yes?
Is Ted home?
I know. He's gone to ROTC camp.
Oh, I see. Where is the camp?
Down at Monterey.
Have you a picture of Ted?
Well, why do you want a picture of him?
Well, you see, ma'am, we're police officers.
Police officers? Oh, has Ted got into trouble?
Well, I wouldn't say that, ma'am. He may not be involved at all, but we have to make sure.
Well, I don't know if I should give you a picture.
Well, it'd be best. Is that a picture of him on the table?
Yes, but...
I'll have to take it with me.
Oh,
Has Ted a friend, a pal, a little taller than he is? Wears his hair slicked back?
Why, that'd be Sam Thompson. Now, if there's any trouble, he'd be the one you're looking for. He's a bad influence on Ted. I try to tell him to get a new friend, but he just won't listen to me.
Sam Thompson, huh? Where does he live?
Just across the street in that gray house.
Fine. We'll have a talk with his mother.
Well, when can I have the picture back?
Oh, sometime tomorrow, ma'am. We won't want it long.
Oh, I do wish you'd tell me what's wrong.
It's nothing, ma'am. Nothing to get excited about. We're just making a routine investigation. Good day, Mrs. Mason.
Good day.
Poor dame. He'll just about kill her when she finds out her son's a murderer.
And there's no doubt about it, he is. This picture tallies identically with Hendrickson's description.
Hendrickson identifies the pictures of Sam and Ted, obtained by the officers, as his assailants, and photographed comparisons of the firing pin marks on the shells found in the hills and the shells from Hendrickson's gun further identifies the boys as the killers. Marshall and Murphy journeyed to the ROTC camp at Monterey to place the young men under arrest, but discover that they have not shown up at the camp at all. Circulars are printed carrying the pictures and descriptions of the youths, and these are sent all over the country. A week passes. The scene changes to the little town of Cedar City, Utah. It is noon, and the hot summer sun beats down in glimmering waves on the dusty main street. Two young men saunter along, carrying packs, eyeing the cars parked along the sidewalk.
We've got to steal a car quick.
You're telling me. If the tire hadn't blown out on the other car, we'd be 100 miles further east.
Do you suppose they're looking for us back in Oakland?
No, how could they know we did it?
Well, cops are pretty smart.
No, they aren't. Gosh, we did everything just like the big shots do it. Changing cars and covering up tracks. Gee, I guess we're smarter than most crooks.
Oh, heck. Our mothers think we're at camp. Don't you think we ought to go back there?
No, I don't want to hang around home anymore. I'm beginning to like this life. We'll blaze our way across the country to Chicago. Then we can tie up with a mob of big shots where they appreciate good choppers.
Gee, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Well, it beats going to West Point. Why, we'd be millionaires before we're 20.
Yeah, that'd be swell.
Say, this car looks okay.
Yeah, nice new Ford. And look, there's the keys in the ignition.
Well, it's ours then. Pile in.
Just a minute, boys. Not so fast.
Ooh, what's the trouble? We ain't done nothing.
Stick 'em up and get out of that car.
We just got into rest. We've been hitchhiking from Los Angeles.
Seems to me you fit the description of those kids that killed the officer down in Oakland.
Oakland? Oh, we never been to Oakland.
What's your name?
Bob Graves.
And yours?
Johnny Fanning.
Keep those hands up. Now, we'll just see what else you got on your hips. Uh-huh. A nice 38. What do you carry this for?
Well, hitchhiking's dangerous. You gotta have protection.
Yeah. Both of you need protection, it seems. Two punks a-toting a rod apiece. They sure start early these days.
Well, there's nothing wrong with carrying a gun. We got permits down in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'll just bet you have. Let's see what else. What's this slip of paper? A receipt from the U Drive It agency in Oakland made out to Sam Thompson. So your name's Bob Graves, eh?
Well, you see, I just bought this suit secondhand.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, boys, I'll have to detain you until I wire Oakland about you.
Well, there's no point to that. We haven't done anything.
Save it. We're heading for the telegraph office. Now, march.
Oakland instructs the marshal of Cedar City to hold the boys for murder. They are returned to the Bay City, and when tests have been completed on the guns found in their possession, they are brought before Captain Wallman.
Well, boys, I suppose you know what you're charged with.
Well, yes, but it isn't so, sir. We never shot anyone. We never been in Oakland before.
You both deny your guilt?
Yes, sir.
All right, then listen carefully to me. We know you're guilty. Your fingerprints, Mason, were found on the car which ran over Patrolman Colvin's body. You've been identified by Patrolman Hendrickson as the two car strippers who shot at him and stole his gun. Shells from his gun were found near the spot where Kohler was murdered. We've made test shots with the gun taken from you when you were arrested. The rifling marks on the bullets fired in these test shots and the rifling on the bullet taken from Kohler's body are identical.
We'll bring this evidence into court, and we'll most assuredly win our case. We'll send you to the penitentiary to hang. Now, do you still claim you're innocent?
Gee, Ted, I didn't know cops were so smart. What are we going to do?
Well, there's only one thing we can do, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, boys?
Well, we did it, sir.
But we didn't mean to kill him. That is, we hoped he wouldn't die.
I don't see how you ever found us. I thought cops were dumb.
A lot smarter men than you kids have thought the same thing. Boys, you can't win the game the way you're playing it. I sincerely feel sorry for you. It's too bad that you've had to learn your lesson the hard way. But laws are laws. Stick your finger in a fire and it'll get burned. Try stick-ups and murder, and as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow morning, you'll get caught. I guess you boys realize now that crime doesn't pay.
Sam and Ted were charged with murder, assault with intent to kill, and robbery. They pled guilty to murder, waived trial, and on September 18, 1931, appeared before Judge Fred V. Wood in the Superior Court. Because of the California law preventing the execution of minors, they were sentenced for life to San Quentin Penitentiary. The Rio Grande Oil Company offers a gift absolutely free of charge to you and to everyone who listens to Calling All Cars. We offer you a year's subscription to Calling All Cars News, a unique new publication devoted to true stories of police, crime, movies, and radio. Your first copy of Calling All Cars News is waiting for you at your nearest Rio Grande service station. Drive in and get your free copy. You are under no obligation to buy Rio Grande cracked gasoline. In this unusual new publication, you will read the truth about Clark Gable, a true story, the inside story of the Gettle kidnapping, an illustrated authentic article, what Warner Baxter thinks about women, written exclusively for Calling All Cars News, unusual photographs of exciting news events of 1934, last-minute movie news with previews of the latest pictures and an honest theater guide, a list of radio programs you must not miss for January, describing the best bets on the air, including a review of the crime cases to be broadcast this month on Calling All Cars. Get your free copy of this remarkable new publication tomorrow morning. Drive into the Rio Grande service station nearest you. Remember, you do not have to buy Rio Grande cracked gasoline. Just ask for your gift copy of Calling All Cars News, and your Rio Grande dealer will gladly give it to you.
Oakland Police calling all cars, attention all cars, cancellation broadcast 59 regarding a murder. Suspects in this case are now in custody. That's all.
Calling All Cars is written and produced by William N. Robeson. This is Frederick Lindsley saying good night for the Rio Grande Oil Company.
90 years ago, January 8th, 1935, Calling All Cars here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I still am amazed that we have shows that were done 90 years ago, 80 years ago, that we have such wonderful recordings of, but shows from 50, 60 years ago, they sound like crap. I never have figured that out. But I guess some of these shows were better preserved than others. Okay, going back tomorrow on our Thursday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Westerns and Drama, with an episode of Screen Director's Playhouse, Stagecoach, starring John Wayne, based on the motion picture. Also, Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, The Joke's on Us. The Whistler and the Telltale Brand. The Shadow, starring Orson Welles and Agnes Moorehead, from 1938, and another episode of Superman. That's coming up on our Thursday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We roll on this Wednesday with a nostalgia program, The Adventures of Frank Merriwell, from 1949.
Instead of going down, the annual rate of polio cases in this country is going up. Instead of growing panicky with fear in the face of such an unwelcome fact, There is a way in which we all can join the Army which is fighting to check this trend and ultimately defeat infantile paralysis. We can contribute to the March of Dimes. Give today so that the 1952 March of Dimes will be the biggest ever and a really potent fighting force against polio.
The eradication of polio, one of the best examples of how a well-tested and well-researched vaccine was able to basically eradicate a disease. That and smallpox. And those sort of things have won remarkably well. When they're done right, vaccines can be wonderful. When they're not, we're not going to get into that. But I will get into the fact that Lawson Zerbe starred in this program, The Adventures of Frank Merriwell. And the shows are set at the turn of the century of the between the 18th and 19th and 20th centuries, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. This episode from January 8th, 1949, 76 years ago, is entitled Gold Fever.
NBC presents The Adventures of Frank Merriwell. There it is, an echo of the past, an exciting past, a romantic past, the era of the horse and carriage, gaslit streets, and free-for-all football games. The era of one of the most beloved figures in American fiction, Frank Merriwell. Merriwell is loved as much today as ever he was, and so the National Broadcasting Company brings him to radio in a new series of stories based on the famous books written by Gilbert Patton under the pen name Bert L. Standish. Today, Gold Fever. It's a cold winter's afternoon in New Haven. Classes at Yale have ended for the day, and as our story opens, Frank, Bart, and Inza Burridge are seated in the waiting room of the New Haven Depot with Bart's father, Oliver Hodge.
Oh, gosh, Dad. I wish you didn't have to rush off again so soon.
Oh, yes, sir. We don't get to see you very often.
I know, boys. I've been pretty busy lately.
If you'd only let us know sooner, Mr. Hodge, you could have come over for dinner. That would be awfully disappointed.
You must send her my apologies, my dear. The New York train will be in any minute, and I've got to be on it.
You act like you have a big deal up your sleeve, Dad.
I have, Bart. And it may mean a lot to both you boys.
Oh?
How would you like a job in South America this summer?
South America?
Oh, what kind of a job?
I haven't much time, but I'll explain as quickly as I can. I'm about to close a business deal with a fellow named Clarkson, a great mining expert.
I see.
There's a chance of opening up some gold deposits in South America. And if all goes well the next few days, I'll be in on it.
Gold? Oh, my goodness, that sounds exciting.
I'll say it does. What about the job?
Well, I told Clarkson all about you and Frank, and he seems to think he might be able to use you down there when we begin operations next summer.
That's great.
How about it? Would you like it?
I certainly would, sir. How about you, Bart?
That sounds great to me.
Good. Clarkson will come up to New Haven sometime within the next couple of days and talk to you about it. By the way, you're both studying geology here, aren't you?
Oh, yes, sir. What has that to do with it?
Well, a great deal.
Oh, dear.
Oh, I hope you're doing well in the subject.
Uh-oh. I knew there was a catch in it.
A catch? What do you mean by it?
Oh, don't mind him, Mr. Hodge. It's Bart's idea of a joke. Of course he's doing well in geology.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it. When Clarkson comes up here, he'll want to speak to your geology professor. But I know you'll have nothing to worry about on that score.
Oh, this must be your train now, Mr. Hodge.
Yes. Well, boys, I'm sorry I can't stay any longer, but look for Clarkson sometime this week. I'm sure you'll get along splendidly with him.
Yes, sir. I'm sure we will.
Fine, and keep your fingers crossed. I wouldn't want anything to go wrong with this deal. It can mean a lot to all of us.
What a mess.
Mess? What on earth do you mean, Bart?
I think he's worried about that geology business, Ensign.
I'll say I am. Of all the subjects to pick.
You don't have a good grade in it, do you, Bart?
Oh, it's my worst subject, Ensign.
I didn't think geology was so difficult.
Well, it isn't, Enza, but Bart's been neglecting.
I couldn't help it. First there was football practice every afternoon, and now basketball.
I'll bet you haven't even got your last field trip report in, have you?
No. Say, we could go out to East Rock tomorrow afternoon, and I could hand in the report by tomorrow evening.
Oh, what do you mean we? I've already handed in mine.
I know, but I thought you'd come along and help me. After all, this is an emergency.
All right, I'll do it. But I thought I was through digging for gold until next semester.
Digging for gold? Now, don't tell me there's actually gold out there in East Rock.
Oh, of course not, Inza. It's just a standing joke. We usually kid the freshmen by telling them to keep their eyes peeled for gold ore when they make their first field trip.
Oh. Well, anyhow, don't worry, Bart. I'm sure you'll be able to pick up your geology grades, especially with Frank's help.
Well, I'd better. Well, come on. We don't want to stand here on this station platform all night.
Oh, there's a sleigh parked at the hack stand. Shall we take that?
Good idea. Come on.
Here you are, folks. Hop right aboard.
Well, mind that step, Ensign. Here, I'll help you.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, that's a ticket. I'll just put this lap robe over you. There we are. Now then, where would you be going?
Linden Place, driver, number 14.
Right you are. Get up there, Nellie.
Hey, I just thought of something. East Rock is all covered with snow. How in the world are you going to go on your gold digging expedition tomorrow?
Well, that's why I want Frank to come along. He knows exactly where to look, and that way I can get my report into Professor Holland in plenty of time tomorrow evening.
Well, I wish you luck. I know how much it means to you and to your father. All I can say is I'm glad I don't have to go digging for gold in this weather.
Well, don't worry, Enza. This time tomorrow, Bart will likely make the biggest gold strike since Sutter's Mill.
Boy, what an afternoon this was. I nearly froze to death out there at East Rock.
Oh, never mind, Bart. At least you've got your report finished at last.
Well, thanks to you. I hope it's good enough to pick up my geology grades.
No, you'll just have to wait and see what Professor Holland has to say about it. You better go in alone. I'll go on back to Connecticut Hall.
Oh, all right, Frank. Thanks again for all the help.
Oh, don't give it a second thought. Good luck with Professor Holland. And let me know what he says.
I'll do that. See you later, Frank.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening, Danny. Is Professor Holland in?
Oh, yes, indeed, Mr. Hodge. Come right in, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Don't you notice anything, Mr. Hodge?
Notice anything?
About me?
Nothing in particular. You're looking very well, Danny.
It's my new hairpiece, wig, sir.
Oh.
Got a new toupee.
Oh, so you have. I didn't notice it at first. Well, it's very becoming. Makes you look years younger.
Yes, thank you, sir. It was the missus' idea. Women get some darn fool notions sometimes. She told the professor about it, and he bought it for me for Christmas.
Well, that was nice of him. I understand those things are pretty expensive.
Oh, yes, indeed. But Professor Holland's a fine gentleman to work for. But I mustn't keep you waiting. You say you wanted to see him.
If he isn't busy. It's important.
He's in his study. I'm sure he'll see you. Just wait right here, sir. I'll tell him you're here.
Well, Mr. Hodge, this is an unusually fine report.
Oh, thank you, Professor Holland.
But it is also unusually late.
Well, sir.
You are the last student in the class to complete your fieldwork.
Yes, sir, I know. I'm hoping to make up for that.
You think that's possible, hmm?
Oh, yes, sir. I realize I've been neglecting my geology for some time.
Yes,
sir.
Mr. Hodge, you most certainly have. I believe your grades attest to that fact.
I know that, Professor. That's what I want to remedy. You see, in view of this report and everything, I wondered if there was any hope of picking up my grades this week.
This week, eh? Are you sure it's worth the effort, Mr. Hodge?
Oh, yes, sir. It's very important to me. I want to make up for my lack of interest all semester.
Oh, that's very commendable, I'm sure. As a matter of fact, there is a remote chance that you can better your geology mark this week.
Oh, there is, sir?
It depends on how well you do with this.
What's that, Professor Holland?
A list of examination questions which I'm going to give the class tomorrow.
Examination? But I didn't know about that.
I announced it during my lecture on Friday.
Oh.
You were absent, I believe?
Yes, sir. I remember.
Frankly, I should say your chances of getting a good grade or even a passing grade on this examination are rather remote. But perhaps with a little intensive study tonight.
Yes, sir. I'll study very hard tonight.
Oh, now what? Yes, come in.
Excuse me, sir, the telephone.
I can't talk to anyone right now. I'm busy.
But it's Dean Clark, sir.
Oh, very well. Excuse me a moment, Mr. Hodge.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dean Clark.
Sorry to bother you, Holland, but I haven't received your pre-examination grades for this semester yet.
Oh, no, sir. You see, I'm holding a special examination tomorrow. I'll have the grades then.
Very well. Just checking up. Sorry to have troubled you. Good night.
Not at all, sir. Good night. Now then, Mr. Hodge, I was about to give you this reference list. I recommend that you take it and study it with all possible diligence.
Oh, I will, sir. Thank you, sir.
Not that I anticipate it'll do very much good. I fear you've let matters slide a little too long, Mr. Hodge. But then, we shall see tomorrow.
Oh, don't worry, Professor Holland. I'm going to surprise you on this examination. Even if it means staying up all night, I'm going to get the highest mark in the whole class.
I'm sorry to disturb you, Dean Clark, but this is most important.
Good morning, Professor Holland. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Now, sir, what's the trouble? Take it from the expression on your face that it is trouble.
Indeed it is, Dean Clark. It concerns a geology examination which I'm giving today.
I see. And what about the examination?
A copy of the list of questions which I intended to ask was taken from my study last night.
You mean stolen?
I'm afraid I do, Dean Clark. And the inference is rather obvious. The only one who could possibly benefit from such a list would be a Yale geology student.
Well, I see. Indeed, this is serious, Professor Holland. Have you taken any steps as yet to learn the identity of the student?
No, sir, I have not. And for a very good reason. I'm already practically certain of the boy's identity.
So, well, who is he?
Mr. Bart Hodge.
Hodge?
That's right, sir.
Oh, come now, Holland. Surely you're joking.
That would be a rather grim sort of joke, Dean Clark.
But Hodge, why, that's preposterous. I know the boy well. Fine, upstanding young man.
I have always thought so myself. That is what makes this doubly perplexing to me. Believe me, sir, I've thought about this half the night, and I can come to no other conclusion.
You're quite sure that no one else could have done it?
I'm certain of it. He alone had the opportunity. And it's my regrettable duty to ask that you take action against him at once.
Just a moment, Professor Holland. Perhaps there's a way to make sure before we act.
How's that, sir?
Well, I judge from what you say that young Hodge has not been doing too well in geology this semester.
All the more reason for him to take the examination questions, I'm afraid.
Perhaps. But as I say, we can find out. Professor Holland, I want you to go through with this examination exactly as though nothing had occurred.
You mean with different questions, of course?
No, with the very same questions.
Same questions?
A look at the results of the test should give a strong indication as to which students had access to the questions in advance.
Well, of course, a very good idea. I shall follow your advice, Dean Clark.
And be sure to advise me of your conclusions. This is a most serious affair. We can afford to make no mistakes.
I certainly realize that, sir. You shall hear from me immediately following the examination. And believe me, Dean Clark, when I say that for the first time in my teaching career, I hope with all my heart that every single one of my students fails this test.
Well, here we go, Bart. How do you feel after being up all night?
Exhausted. I wish we'd get this test over in a hurry before I forget everything I learned.
Oh, relax, Bart. Professor Holland will start the exam any minute now.
I'm ready for him. Incidentally, Frank, thanks again for working so hard with me on this thing.
Oh, that's all right, Bart. It was good for me, too.
Say, maybe we could review a couple more things while we're waiting. Ask me a question.
All right, now let me see. Try this. Identify the subaqueous and subterranean strata of the Permian, Mesozoic, and Tertiary eras.
Well, let's see. Permian first.
Hold it up, Bart. Here we go.
Good. I'm ready for him this time. This is one time I'm really going to surprise old Holland.
Your attention, gentlemen, please. Before I continue reading the results of yesterday's examination, let me reassure you. It was a most difficult one. And the fact that most of your grades were well below 80% should not cause you any undue alarm.
Well, that's a relief.
And now to continue. Mr. Jack Diamond, 72%. Mr. Harry Rattleton, 78%. Mr. Jeff Woodward, 69%. Mr. Frank Merriwell, 84%.
84? Gosh, nice going, Frank. I hope I did as well.
And Mr. Bart Hodge, 92%.
92? Well, congratulations,
Golly, I knew
Bart.
I'd done well, but I didn't think it was that good.
Well, that should do it, Bart. Your worries are really over now.
It looks like it, all right.
Those?
Oh, wait, Holland isn't through.
Those are the results. Those are the results, gentlemen. However, due to certain circumstances, these marks will not be posted for several days. That is all. You may go. One moment. Mr. Hodge.
He's calling you, Bart.
Oh. Yes, Professor Holland?
I should like a word with you. Will you remain, please?
Yes, sir. What does he want to see me for, Frank?
Well, I don't know, Bart. Maybe he wants to compliment you on your good work. Well, I better get over to basketball practice. See you over there.
Right. Yes, sir? What is it, Professor Holland?
Mr. Hodge. Mr. Hodge, a very serious matter has come up. Very serious indeed.
Serious, sir?
For the first time in my years at Yale, I am compelled to bring a charge against a student that may result in his immediate dismissal from the university.
But what has that to do with me, sir?
It has everything to do with you, Mr. Hodge. You are the student against whom I must bring the charge.
What?
Please get your coat. We are going to Dean Clark's office.
Expelled from Yale. But, Dean Clark, I'd be the last person in the world to take those questions.
And I, Mr. Hodge, would be the first person in the world to attest to that fact. Nevertheless, the evidence seems rather overwhelming.
Professor Holland, do you think I did this?
Well, really, my boy, this is most distressing. But confound it, look at the evidence. It is rather conclusive, I'm afraid.
But, sir...
Permit me, Professor Holland. In the first place, Mr. Hodge, you will concede that you've not been an outstanding student in geology this year?
Of course, sir, but I explained that I've been neglecting it. My other marks are all high enough.
True. But the fact remains, your geology marks have been, well, to be kind, mediocre. Now then, you appeared at Professor Holland's house on the night before the examination. Explained that it was imperative that you better your geology grades considerably this very week.
That's true, sir, I did. It meant the possibility of a good summer job.
Very well. You then learned of the examination and admitted that you were not adequately prepared to take it.
Furthermore, Mr. Hodge, I left the room for a moment, leaving you quite alone with ample time to take the examination questions from my desk before I returned.
But I didn't, sir. The list was still there when you came back to the room, wasn't it?
Unfortunately, I cannot swear that it was or was not. I did not have occasion to look for it until almost an hour after you left the house.
There you are, Dean Clark. There's the hole in the story. Someone else must have come in and taken the list after I left.
Oh, no, Mr. Hodge. No one at all came into the house after you left. In fact, the only occupants were my servant Danny and myself.
Add to this, Mr. Hodge, the fact that you received the highest grade by far in the entire class. And you must admit that there's good cause for Professor Holland's suspicion.
But I explained about the high grade, sir. I stayed up all night cramming for the exam, and Frank Merriwell helped me, too.
And yet you received a higher grade than he did, Mr. Hodge.
That's because Frank neglected his own studying to help me. Dean Clark, you can't expel me on evidence like this. It just isn't fair.
You're quite right, Mr. Hodge. Believe me when I tell you that I have no desire to punish you if you are innocent.
Nor do I.
Furthermore, knowing you as I do, let me add that in spite of the evidence, I have a very strong feeling that you did not do it.
Thank you, Dean Clark. But
just
still
a moment. Naturally, I cannot permit this to go unnoticed. And so, until further investigation is made, I'm going to have to put you under temporary suspension.
But, sir, I thought you said
That's all, Mr. Hodge. You're excused.
Honestly, Bart, I feel simply terrible about this. Don't you, Frank?
Well, of course, I can't understand it at all.
Neither can I. I must admit they have a pretty strong case against me, too.
Well, it can't be so awfully strong, or Dean Clark would have expelled you. I'm sure he believes you're innocent, Bart.
A lot of good that does me. I'm under suspension just the same.
If you only hadn't done so well in that exam.
I know, Frank. What a mess. To make matters worse, that partner of Dad's has to show up today.
Mr. Clarkson? You mean he's here in New Haven, Bart?
That's right. Here, look in the morning paper.
Prominent gold mining engineer visits New Haven. Mr. Ralph W. Clarkson at the New Haven house. My goodness, now of all times.
I know.
What are you going to do?
Oh, we've got to keep our promise to Bart's father and go see him.
But when he asked about my geology grades, I'm finished. He'll find out about those charges against me. It may even ruin the deal for Father.
Well, Professor Holland announced the grades wouldn't be posted until the matter was cleared up. Now, if Mr. Clarkson asks Bart about the geology grades, we could tell him the latest grades won't be published for a day or two.
Oh, of course. And that would give you a little time to find out the truth.
Well, I don't see what good that'll do. Even if we had all the time in the world, we haven't a single lead to work on.
Well, that's only because we haven't started looking yet. But we can work on that later. Right now, we better get over to the New Haven house and call on Mr. Clarkson.
Well, boys, it's a real pleasure to meet both of you. Oliver told me a great deal about you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Clarkson.
Yes, sir, Bart, your father's a fine man. It's a real opportunity for all of us, this deal of ours. He told you about it, didn't he?
Why, yes, sir. Mr. Hodge told us a little about it, sir. He said you'd be stopping by here to see us. That's why we came up.
Well, I'm glad you did, too. Meant to get in touch with you earlier, but so many things came up. By the way, How'd you know I was in town?
Oh, we read it in the paper this morning, sir.
Oh, yes, that paper. I'd have been just as happy if they hadn't mentioned it. Been plagued ever since with folks who want to make investments. Oh, there goes that blasted telephone again. Excuse me, boys.
Would you like us to go out until you finish, sir?
No, sit right there, This can't be anything important. Hello? Oh? Oh, yes, I remember. You were up here to see me this morning. What's that? No, man, I tell you, that's completely fantastic. There isn't any gold worth mining in the whole state of Connecticut.
Gold?
Yeah. What? Well, all right, I'll look at your ore samples, but you're only wasting your time and mine. Very well, this evening, then. Goodbye. Confounded nuisance.
More investors, sir?
Well, worse than that. Someone with a mind to sell me. Boys, I hope neither one of you ever catches gold fever. Near as I can make out, it's an incurable disease.
So I've heard.
Imagine the crazy old coot trying to make me believe there's gold in some place called East Rock around here.
East Rock? Is that where he was talking about?
Oh, yes. You know the place?
No, I'll say we do.
Well, one of the students is having fun with you, Mr. Clarkson. Looking for gold at East Rock is a standing joke here at Yale.
Well, if this fellow's a student, he must be a mighty backward one. Didn't give his name, but he was over here to see me this morning. He must be in his 60s at least.
What? Say, it couldn't be one of the professors, could it, Frank?
Hardly. What did he look like, sir?
Oh, I don't know. Nothing very remarkable. Sort of an unkempt-looking fella. Had a fine head of hair, though, but just between us, doubt it was his own. That's about all.
I'll bet it was a student. Probably made himself up to look like an elderly man.
Maybe, but it won't do him any good if he's playing a joke. Showed me a bunch of reports and said they indicated gold deposits. But I know as well as anyone else that there isn't any gold worth talking about in these parts. Now about you boys.
Yes, sir?
I want to have a nice long chat with both of you. Find out something about your grades and all that.
Oh, yes, sir. About the geology, you see, there's...
Never mind about it right now, son. I have an appointment in a few minutes. But suppose you come back here for dinner tonight and we'll have a good chat, huh? Would that be convenient?
Would it? I mean, yes, sir, that'd be fine.
And it's a date. See you about 7 o'clock, boys.
Yes, sir.
And you can tell me all about your scholastic records.
Oh, we got a reprieve anyhow.
But we'll still have to tell him all about it tonight unless we can find some way to clear this up by that time.
I wish we could. We don't have any place to start, though. Unless we can prove that the professor's house was broken into, I'm the only possible person who could have taken that exam.
I know, Bart. Except, of course, for Professor Holland himself and... Jumping Jehoshaphat. Bart, I've got it.
Got it? What do you mean?
That man who called on Mr. Clarkson this morning. Do you know who that must have been?
Well, how could I? All we know about him is that he's in his 60s, was probably wearing a wig, but we... A wig? Holy cats, Professor Holland's servant Danny.
Naturally. I think we're on to something here, Bart.
Oh, no, I don't know. No, I mean, I'm surprised that Danny's calling on Mr. Clarkson, but still I don't see what it has to do with me.
Well, I've got a hunch about that, Bart. Let's pray it's the right one. I'll tell you all about it on the way over.
On the way over where?
To Professor Holland's house, of course. We're going to have a quick talk with Danny.
Oh, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm sorry, but Professor Holland's at a faculty meeting.
Oh, that's all right, Danny. We've come to see you.
Me, sir?
That's right. Mind if we come in?
Well, no, sir. Come in by all means.
Thanks. Now then, Danny, I'll come right to the point. You went over to the New Haven house this morning and called on a Mr. Clarkson.
Well, how'd you know that?
Oh, never mind. And you showed him some reports on mineral deposits at East Rock.
Well, yes, sir, I did, but I don't quite understand.
Where did you get those reports, Danny?
Where? What? Now, look here, gentlemen. I don't see that it's any of your business.
Then perhaps you'd prefer that we took the matter up with Professor Holland.
Professor Holland? Oh, no, sir, don't do that. I mean,
very well. Then start talking.
Well, I took the reports from Professor Holland's desk the other night.
I thought so.
I didn't mean any harm by it, sir. I thought he was through with them, and I knew they could mean such a great deal to me. I meant to return them, honestly.
But what on earth made you think they were valuable, Danny?
Mr. McCoy told me they were.
McCoy? Who's he?
Well, he's a hack driver here in town, Mr. Hodge. He had a tip that an important gold strike had been made at East Rock and that you were handing in a report on it to the professor.
That I was? Where the devil did he get an idea like that?
I don't know, sir, but Mr. McCoy knows all about gold mining. He had an uncle who went to the Klondike and made a fortune.
Wait a minute. You say he's a hack driver? What does he look like?
Well, he's a slight-built feller. Has sandy hair and a red face.
I knew it. I see how it happened now.
Well, what is it, Frank?
Well, that must be the hack driver who drove us from the station the day your father was here. Remember, we were kidding about going out and digging for gold at East Rock?
Sure, I think I mentioned having to turn the report in to Professor Holland.
I see how it happened now. McCoy told Danny here about it and instructed him to take the report.
Of course.
Well, Danny picked it up from the professor's desk right after you left, Bart, and he must have taken the exam paper along with it.
Exam paper? What exam paper?
Let's have those reports, Danny. I'll bet the paper is right there with them.
But I don't have the report.
You don't? Well, where is it?
Mr. McCoy has it. And he's out at East Rock right now digging some ore samples to take to Mr. Clarkson.
At East Rock, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Bart. We're going for a sleigh ride.
I never heard of anything like it.
Well, neither did I, Enza. But if Frank's right, this is the luckiest day of my life.
We'll soon know. Oh, wait. That must be McCoy, over there at the foot of the cliff. Oh, boy. Oh.
What on earth is he doing, burrowing in the snow?
You'll soon know. You there! McCoy!
He hears us.
We want to talk to you.
I can't talk to anybody now, mister. I'm busy.
Busy or not, you'll talk to us. Your friend Danny told us about the geology reports.
What? Why, that idiot.
Those reports belong to Professor Holland, and we've come for them. Now hand them over.
I'll do nothing of the kind. Now, get out of the way before you get hurt. I'm fixing to set off a blast.
A blast?
What does he mean?
You can't blast here.
Who's going to stop me? This ain't your property, is it?
But you can't set off a blast here at the foot of this cliff.
I can't, huh? Well, you just watch me. Now get back. I'm going to light the fuse.
Look out, boy. Let's get out of here, quick.
Get up, boy. Get it.
Frankie's liable to cause a landslide here.
It's too late to stop it now. Hold on.
Better get out of the way yourself, McCoy.
Don't worry, I'm going.
Oh, he fell.
My leg. I twisted my leg.
Good Lord, Frankie's trapped. I've got to get him out of there.
No, Frank, stop. There isn't time.
Hold on, McCoy.
Back, Frank. Frank, come back.
Go back, you fool. You'll be killed.
We can make it. There, quick. Put your arm around my neck. That's it.
We'll both get it now. The fuse is burned out.
Quick, behind these boulders.
Look out, Frank. Look out. Well, there's the examination list, Professor Holland. Now you have the whole story.
Oh, this is amazing. Simply amazing.
Unfortunately, Mr. McCoy is so grateful to Frank for saving his life that he's willing to go before Dean Clark and swear to the whole thing.
Well, Mr. Hodge, I certainly owe you an apology. I hardly know what to say.
Well, that's all right, sir. Forget it.
But I feel that I should do something.
Well, if Bart doesn't mind my speaking up for him, Professor, there is one favor you could do.
Well, of course, Mr. Merriwell, just name it.
Well, we'd all appreciate it, sir, if you didn't hold this against your man, Danny.
That's right, sir, we would.
Oh, yes, Danny. You know, that's the most puzzling aspect of the whole affair. I would have trusted Danny with anything.
And you still can, sir. You see, the poor old fellow is afflicted with gold fever, and that's a disease that makes people act in very odd ways.
Yes, I fancy you're right. Now I imagine you two will be taking that mining job this summer.
I wouldn't be surprised, sir.
And all I can say is that if you're as successful at digging up gold as you were at digging the facts of this case...
Yes, sir.
Well, come fall, you should be two very rich young men.
Ah, yes, sir.
And so ends another exciting adventure with Frank Merriwell, beloved hero of American fiction, brought to you in a new series of stories by the National Broadcasting Company. And be sure to listen again next week at this same time when Frank Merriwell returns in another of his celebrated exploits. Frank is played by Lawson Zerbe, Bart is Hal Studer, and Inza is Elaine Rust. Other members of the cast were Cameron Andrews, Joe DeSantis, Arnold Moss, Arthur Maitland, and Lou Hall. Original music is by Paul Taubman. The Adventures of Frank Merriwell is written by Ruth and Gilbert Braun and William Welch, and the entire production is under the direction of Ed King. This is Mel Brandt speaking.
76 years ago, January 8th, 1949, The Adventures of Frank Merriwell here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Especially if you listen to our program on Apple Podcasts, please review our podcast, give it a nice ranking if you can, and tell people why you listen, what you enjoy about it, and how you listen to the show. And then if you could, no matter where you listen to our podcast, Apple or other places, share our episodes with your friends and rate or review the show on your listening app. And visit our page, classicradio.stream. And if you'd like to do it, purchase something there or buy me a coffee. That always is good. And, of course, we have links to lots of interesting information in our show notes and at classicradio.stream. I hope that you will visit those. Coming up next, an Armed Forces program, Macabre.
Americans have always been noted for their know-how. And you young men in search of a career, you can put this practical talent to excellent use in one of our nation's many engineering schools. At the present time, we need engineers. We need them to maintain our scientific and engineering superiority. So look to your future, to America's future. Plan now to become an engineer.
Now on Classic Radio Theater, a program from Armed Forces Radio that was produced by, I believe it was the Far East Radio. And this is entitled Macabre. 63 years ago, January 8th, 1962, The Edge of Evil.
Man lives in a world of time and space. He lives in a spectrum of the universe. When he ventures beyond his limit, he is indeed in the unknown, a realm where strange forces are brought into play. When man tampers with the powers beyond his reach, he is often destroyed. This is Macabre.
The Far East Network presents in special performance, Macabre. Tonight's story, The Edge of Evil.
As I came closer, collar turned up against the storm. I saw the house in more detail. It was a house out of the past. Towers, turrets, bay windows, gingerbread scroll worked like rickrack on a spinster's bodice. A white flash of lightning revealed everything in a frozen moment. There was a tower near the house, a round tower, perhaps 3 stories high. I had no idea what it was. I had never seen anything quite like it in the New England countryside. I reached the front door. There was no bell. There was a huge brass knocker. No answer. I was disappointed. I'd assumed from Lucy's letter that she'd be home when I arrived. And I didn't like the idea of walking back to the station in this thunderstorm. I knocked again. The door opened slowly. A creature stood before me. It was difficult to think of him as a man. He was twisted, ugly, distorted. His eyes were bright, and they fastened themselves upon me like sharp pins.
Yes?
I'm Jerry Mayer. You're not Professor Narvik, are you?
No. Isn't it obvious?
Is the professor here? Is Mrs. Narvik here?
Come in.
I don't know whether the professor expects me. You see, it was Mrs. Narvik who asked me to come.
Yes. The clerical collar you're wearing. A minister. You would be Lucy's friend. She's not here now. Professor Narvik took her out tonight. I think he means to prove something to her.
You'll forgive me, I'm at a loss here. I don't think Lucy mentioned you in her letter.
No, she would not. I'm Chester. Come, let me take you into the living room. Here you are, Reverend. Brandy. Or are you going to pretend it's wicked and sinful?
I'd say on a night like this, it's very sensible. Now, when do you suppose Lucy, Mrs. Narvik, will be back?
I think you better wait, Mr. Mayor, till the professor comes home. I think he will answer your questions. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do out in the tower.
I saw the tower out there. What's it for?
An old shot tower. They used to make musket balls by dropping pellets of hot lead from the top into tubs of water. Today, well, let's say today, we still use it for a scientific purpose. Good night, Mr. Mayor.
As I sat there in that huge old-fashioned living room, I suddenly became aware of some strange presence. What I felt was almost impossible to describe. Not sound, not sight, not touch. It was feeling, pure inner feeling. There was something evil in this room. I wanted to rise. I couldn't. I wanted to scream. My throat was paralyzed. The room began to spin. An evil force swirling tornado-like all about me. The edge of blackness. The edge of evil. I opened my eyes. I was in the same chair. I don't know how long the blackness had been all about me. A dim face swam in front of my eyes. Then suddenly it took form.
Jerry Mayer. Oh, Jerry, I'm so glad to see you, even if I did find you fast asleep.
Oh, yes, asleep. I must have dozed off. I'm sorry, Lucy.
Nonsense, Jerry. Don't apologize. You're here. That's all that counts.
Yes, I guess I am. But I expected to find you when I came in.
I know, Jerry. I should have been here. Richard insisted I go with him to a lecture. It was very dull.
Where is Richard, Dr. Narvik?
Oh, he'll be here in a moment. He wanted to see Chester out in the tower.
You said you were in trouble, Lucy. What kind of trouble?
Could we wait till tomorrow?
If you like.
I'll run upstairs now and freshen up. Make yourself at home, Jerry.
I'll try to. There was something wrong here. Something wrong with the house. Something wrong with Lucy. As I took a few aimless steps in that old living room, a figure suddenly appeared in the door. A tall man of 45 or so, lean, dark, saturnine. I needed no introduction to know that this was Dr. Narvik, Lucy's new husband.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Lucy has told me all about you. You'll forgive me if I fail to show enthusiasm. Ordinarily, an old friend of Lucy's would be welcome. What disturbs me, I'm afraid, is the reason you've come.
That would make you pretty perceptive, Dr. Narvik. I'm not sure of the reason myself.
It's clear enough. You are here because of Lucy's ridiculous superstitions.
I'm here because she seems to be afraid of something.
Let us state the case correctly. Because she imagines she's afraid of something. She thinks there is some sort of apparition, some sort of evil presence in this house.
She may have reason to think it.
Allow me to correct you. There is nothing that has not been explained, or at some future time will not be explained. I do not expect you to agree. But Lucy is my wife, Mr. Mayor. I will not have my wife in the grip of savage superstitions.
I see.
And now, since I have some difficult research tomorrow, if you'll excuse me, I will take some sleep. Good night, Mr. Mayor.
Good night, Dr. Narvik. Maybe we'll both see things differently in the morning. I awoke in a cold sweat. I knew something was in the room. Something. It was a medium-sized room with a bed and bureau. An ordinary guest room Lucy had given me. The window was open, but there was cloud cover, and it was pitch black. I could see nothing. There was no lamp, but I had left my lighter on the bedside table. If I could just make a little light, I'd feel better. I reached for the lighter. And something put the lighter in my hand.
More eggs and bacon, Jerry?
No, this is plenty. Go on with your story.
Well, I suppose this is a good chance to tell it. You see, Jerry, I really did love Richard when I married him. I looked up to him, admired his brilliant mind. He is brilliant, you know. Has a worldwide reputation as a physicist.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Well, Dick bought this old house because it was near the university, and because it was a bargain. You see, it's supposed to be haunted.
And do you really think it is?
Jerry, you know why I really called you, don't you?
Because you needed help.
A special kind of help. You were an ordained minister. Isn't there a technique for ghosts? Isn't there some sort of ritual?
You mean exorcism? Yes, there is such a thing. I've looked into it. Ceremony dates from medieval times. Bell, book, and candle. But it should be used only in extreme cases. That day, I examined the old house from top to bottom. I found nothing unusual. In the afternoon, Lucy called to say she'd be delayed at a faculty wives' dinner. Dr. Narvik was still at the university. As darkness fell, I found myself once more alone. I went to the big living room, opened a book, and sat in a Victorian chair. I suppose I had read a chapter or two when it happened. Once more, I was aware of something. Some evil presence in the room. This time it was more than simply a feeling of evil. This time I heard something. It was a human voice. But what kind of human? Couldn't say. I rose and began to look all around the room. I looked in every corner. The walls to the ceiling. All the doors and windows. There was a small closet in one corner of the room. I stepped there and opened the closet door. A human skull stared out at me from that closet. From its grinning mouth came the horrible sound of someone in pain.
Well, what happened to you, Mr. Mayor? Don't tell me my wife has also got you believing in ghosts.
Dr. Narvik, there is something very strange going on in this house of yours.
Really? I'm afraid there's nothing I find strange. Would you care for a drink, Mr. Mayor?
Not now, thank you.
Then you don't mind if I have one?
No. I think we'd better have a talk.
Huh? That's exactly what we're doing, is it not?
Dr. Narvik, there's a small closet here beside me. Have you looked into it recently?
No, I don't think so. Why?
Suppose you look into it now.
Very well, if you wish.
Well?
Well, what?
What do you see there?
Just an old skull?
Just an old skull? Do you have one in every closet?
My dear Mr. Mayor, it is a skull I got from the medical department when I was doing research on radioactive carbon in bone matter.
Dr. Narvik, that skull moaned. Now, don't look at me like that. I heard it moan. Before it did, there was a presence in this room. Something evil.
Yes. No doubt you felt something. But it will have an explanation. Perhaps something as simple as indigestion, eh? What have you been eating?
Nothing unusual. Chester gave me a glass of brandy when I came in out of the rain. That's all.
Brandy, eh? Well, there could have been something in it. Here, let us look at the bottle. Huh? That's strange. I was sure I had a bottle of brandy here.
It was here last night.
No matter, we'll find it. Perhaps Chester took it with him to the tower.
Oh, in that case, I think I'd better have a talk with Chester.
Mr. Mayor, please. I do not like to be an ungracious host, but I'm afraid I will have to forbid that.
Why?
Chester is doing important research in the tower. I do not want him disturbed. And speaking of research, I have my own work to do. You will excuse me, eh? I have nothing against you personally, Mr. Mayor. But there is one thing you must understand.
Yes?
There is nothing I will not do to change Lucy to my way of thinking. Good night, Mr. Mayor. Sleep well, if you can.
Act 2 of The Edge of Evil will be heard in a moment. To save your life, you can't beat a seatbelt and careful, courteous driving. The National Safety Council says strong seatbelts, properly installed, are friends for life on today's hectic highways. Now, Act 2 of The Edge of Evil. If
Dr. Richard Narvik were a poor host, I'm afraid I was a poor guest. I couldn't quite obey his wishes to stay away from the tower. That night, when everyone was asleep, I slipped from my room and went outside. It was only a short walk across the lawn to the tower, and by now the cloud cover had cleared and there was faint moonlight. There was a large wooden door at the bottom of the tower. When I tried this, it opened. I was at the foot of a ladder. There was nothing but blackness above. Suddenly, as I stood there with my eyes straining at the darkness, I began to hear voices somewhere above.
I won't let you get away with it
It sounded as though two men were arguing.
like that.
I did my best to listen, but it was impossible to make out all the words.
No one else will have you. You admit it. Now let us have a stop to this foolishness.
Then, above me, a trap door opened, and a shaft of light came down into the tower. Now I could begin to hear the voices clearly.
I warn you. Do not do anything foolish. Chester, don't come any nearer. Chester. No, Chester, get back. Get back, you fool.
I rushed up the ladder as fast as I could. The trap door opened into a room.
Chester, no.
I think that'll take care of him for a few moments, Dr. Narvik.
You have a very strong punch for a minister, Mr. Mayor. Well, I suppose I must thank you for saving me. But I seem to remember telling you not to come here to the tower.
Some sort of electrical equipment. Now, look here, Dr. Narvik. I think it's time you explained a few things, and explained them honestly.
Wait. Chester is coming around.
Oh, yes. Here, Chester. I'll give you a hand. Come on, get up.
You hit me.
Yes, I did. And I think it kept you from murdering Dr. Narvik.
Yes, that's true. I'm sorry. I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't help myself.
Why would you want to kill Dr. Narvik, Chester?
Chester, do not answer that question.
What are you hiding, Narvik?
It's none of your concern. Chester, think. What happens to you if you do not have me?
All right. I will say nothing.
That's better, Chester.
Dr. Narvik, if you don't want Chester to say anything, I'm forced to ask you to make the necessary explanations.
If your superstitious notions are beginning to bother you, Mr. Mayor, I have only one suggestion.
Which is?
That you leave this house in the morning. You are no longer a welcome guest.
When I reached the house again, I headed for my room. Then I noticed a light in the living room, shining through the cracks of the door. I started toward the living room casually enough. Suddenly... Lucy, are you all right? Here, I'll help you up on the floor. It's all right, Lucy. You're all right now.
It's closing it on.
Take it easy. Here's some water. There. That better?
Jerry, what happened?
I heard you scream and rushed in. I found you lying here on the floor.
Oh, Jerry, it was horrible. I don't know what it was. The room was pressing in on me, and the air was filled with something black and evil. Oh, Jerry.
Lucy, stop it. Lucy.
Oh, I'm all right. I'm sorry, Jerry. I just don't know if I can stand it any longer.
And I don't know if I can either. Lucy, I know it's late at night, but certain things have to be said. I'm going to say them right now. Your sanity won't hold up under this.
But what can I do?
You'll have to leave this house, Lucy.
Leave? Where will I go?
I don't know. Have you any friends in town?
No, I suppose I could find a place to stay, but it seems like running away. And in spite of the way Richard feels, it isn't really fair to him.
There's an alternative, then. Convince your husband that you both have to move. Let him sell the house.
Yes, sell the house. That's very clever, Mr. Mayor. You know very well, of course, I would never sell this house.
I'm afraid I don't see anything logical in keeping Lucy in this house. Not if you love her.
But you're mistaken, Mr. Mayor. Every act of mine has been the most logical possible behavior. And now, I'm going to prove it to you. To both of you.
Richard, I don't understand.
You will in a moment. Care to have a drink with me, Mr. Mayor?
No,
Lucy?
I don't thank you.
Very well. I'll have one for myself, if you'll excuse me. You see, Mr. Mayor, I am a scientist. Throughout history, scientists have been destroyed by superstition. I find it unbearable that my own wife should be superstitious. I decided to prove to Lucy once and for all that what we call mysteries, spiritual matters, may invariably be explained in terms of the real and physical world.
I'll be interested in that proof, too.
Of course, Mr. Mayor. Incontrovertible proof. Scientific proof. You are familiar with scientific method?
I know it well enough. It has its uses, and at times, its dangers.
We shall see. I wonder if both of you will return to the tower with me.
If you wish.
Richard, do we have to go out there? The tower? It frightens me.
I think this time, my dear, you'll find that the tower will merely educate you. Come. No light upstairs. That's strange. Chester always works at this hour.
Wait a minute. Look, up there. The trapdoor is opening. There is a light.
Yes, a small one. From a candle. Why would he be using a candle?
Richard, shouldn't we go back to the house?
Be quiet, Lucy. Chester! Are you up there, Chester?
Yes, I am up here, Dr. Narvik. Don't come any further.
Chester, what kind of nonsense is this?
I'm not going to live this way any longer. I've left a letter. It tells everything.
Chester, what are you talking about?
Look out, Dr. Narvik. I'm coming down.
No, Chester, don't jump. Chester, wait.
I've made up my mind.
No, Chester. Oh, God.
Very well, Lucy. Mr. Mayor, you've read Chester's suicide note. Now you know the whole story. We'll go back to the house, call the police. But first, I want you both to have a good look at the laboratory here on the top of the tower. It is part of what I wish to explain.
Let me get everything straight now, Dr. Narvik. You kept Chester here because of his brilliant theories, and you passed them off as your own.
Take a good look at this laboratory before we return to the house. I cannot expect you to understand this equipment, but to oversimplify, these are oscillators that generate supersonic waves. These are parabolic reflectors that send them into the house. They can be focused on any room. And now if you'll come back to the house, I will explain further.
Richard, please, let's get out of here.
Very well. We shall go back. And I think, Lucy, when you hear what I have to say...
Yes.
You will perhaps come to your senses.
All right. We're here, Dr. Narvik, and we're waiting for your great revelation, whatever it is.
I said it would prove to you that all so-called mysteries have a physical cause. Supersonic waves, as you perhaps know, are merely sound vibrations far beyond the range of the human ear. But when you are caught in a certain pattern of directed waves, you cannot hear them, but you are filled with nameless terror. Yes, Lucy, with a feeling of evil pressing in upon you, overwhelming you.
Then you made me feel that way. You and this horrible equipment of yours.
For a reason, Lucy. To prove to you that all your beliefs about spirits, about mysteries, yes, about even the gods you worship were merely superstition.
Narvik, what did you hope to gain by this?
I hope merely that Lucy would come to her senses. The same applies to you, Mr. Mayor. It was not difficult to place a lighter in your hand, but to use a speaker to make that skull moan.
Wait a minute. What's that?
What's what?
That sound, or is it a sound?
I think I feel it, too. It's more like a strange force coming into the room.
Impossible.
Just the same, I feel something.
It's the same as before. That feeling of evil.
Not quite the same. Seems different this time.
Wait. I can hear something, too.
I'm surprised you admit it, Dr. Narvik.
Be calm now. This can't be explained. But it is a strange feeling. What is it?
You're asking us, Dr. Narvik? You're the scientific expert. Why don't you tell us?
Jerry!
Yes, Lucy?
It is different this time. It's evil, Jerry. It's almost pure evil.
Look, lights getting dim.
Everybody be calm now. I'm sure this can be explained. What was that?
Don't you know, Dr. Narvik?
It's pressing in on us. Whatever it is, it wants to kill us.
Impossible.
Lucy's right. I can sense it. It wants to kill us.
Impossible. Impossible.
Could it be that you created something in spite of yourself, Narvik? An apparition? A ghost?
No. There are no ghosts. Ghosts do not exist.
But this exists, whatever it is. It not only exists, but it's here to kill us. Quick, let's get out of here. All of us.
Wait. I cannot move.
What do you mean?
Something holding me here. Some force. I cannot move.
Nonsense. Here, let me help you.
Jerry, what's the trouble?
I don't know. There is some force holding him. It's too much for me.
Help me, please. Don't let me die.
Lucy, I don't know what's happened here, but there's only one thing left to do. Is there a Bible here?
A Bible? What for?
Lucy, please don't ask questions. Get a Bible if you can.
But there's one in the bookcase. I'll get it.
And a bell, Lucy.
Where's the Bible? Jerry, what on the earth are you doing?
The book, the bell, now the candle. Yes, just a candle.
That's what you use for exorcism.
That's right, exorcism. The ancient ceremony to drive away an evil spirit.
But Richard just explained it was his machinery in the tower.
Maybe, but maybe something else has happened now.
Please, Mr. Mayor, help me. Whatever you do, please do it quickly. This evil thing pressing in. I cannot breathe.
Stand back, Lucy. First, light the candle. Now, the bell. Bell, book, and candle. There's an old form to this from the Middle Ages. Not many know it. If I can remember the words.
Help me. Please, help me.
From the Apocrypha.
Jerry, hurry, please.
But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, and there shall not torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken from misery, and their going from us to be utter destruction. But they are in peace, for though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality.
That terrible evil presence. I think it's leaving now. Yes, it's leaving us.
You're right, Lucy. It's fading.
The lights are getting brighter. Oh, Jerry, are you all right?
I think so. It took all my strength.
Jerry, look.
Novik, what is it?
Look at his face, Jerry.
Novik, the look of death.
It got to him. Whatever it was, it got to him.
Novik.
No, Richard.
Easy, Lucy.
Is he?
No pulse.
Oh, no.
First Chester, now your husband. There's death in this house, Lucy.
He killed himself with that horrible equipment of his.
It wasn't the equipment, Lucy.
What do you mean?
I looked at that equipment before we left the tower. Carefully.
Jerry, what are you trying to say?
All the wires were cut, slashed, all the connections. Chester must have done it in a rage before he committed suicide.
Jerry, are you sure?
I give you my word, Lucy. Whatever killed Richard was not physical.
Then, what was it?
Give it any name you want. A thing, a force. The evil he himself had created. Call it Chester's ghost, if you will.
Jerry, it's still here.
Strange. I thought I'd driven him away. Chester? Are you still here, Chester?
Not Chester. Don't you know me?
Richard!
Of course, Richard. Evil never dies. He'll be the ghost in this house now. Until eternity.
You have just heard Macabre, a special Far East Network presentation. Tonight's story, The Edge of Evil, featured John Buey as Dr. Narvik, Mitzi Hennessy as Lucy, Milton Radmilovich as Chester, and William Verdier as Jerry. Technical supervision by Hiroshi Ono, with sound patterns by Airman First Class James Connolly. Tonight's Macabre was written and directed by Walt Sheldon.
Macabre comes to you each week at this time through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
63 years ago, January 8th, 1962, Macabre, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Something not as scary coming up next, and that will be a visit to Pine Ridge, Arkansas, as we see what's going on between Lum and Abner.
Did you know that for only $10 you can supplement the food rations of a family of 4 for a whole month? Just send that $10 to CARE, spelled C-A-R-E, New York. CARE guarantees delivery of its packages to 11 different countries in Europe, as well as to India, Israel, and Japan. Don't forget to include your name and address and the name and address of the family you want to receive the CARE package, because CARE is a person-to-person, international goodwill service.
And you can learn more about what's going on with CARE in these days at care.org. That's CARE.org. Now let's head to Pine Ridge, Arkansas for our visit with Lum and Abner. This goes back 83 years to January 8th, 1942.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Say, folks, Lum and Abner would like to do all you listeners a favor. They want me to remind you that you'll find it mighty wise to keep a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets in your home during the cold-catching days ahead. Because that very same Alka-Seltzer you take for headaches and minor stomach upsets also offers mighty effective relief in cold distress. And what's more, the modern Alka-Seltzer way to relief is just as easy and simple as ABC. Listen. A. Alka-Seltzer. Start taking it according to directions on the package just as soon as you begin to sniffle and sneeze. B. Begin to take other common sense precautions as well. Get more rest than usual, eat wisely, and dress sensibly. And C. Call Alka-Seltzer to the rescue for that sore throat due to the cold, too. You just dissolve 2 tablets in a quarter glass of warm water and then gargle. Now, that's easy enough, isn't it? Mighty sensible, too, as you'll agree once you've experienced the prompt, pleasant relief Alka-Seltzer offers for that headache and that dull, ache-all-over, feverish feeling of a cold. Be sure to try it whenever a cold causes you distress. Now get a package of Alka-Seltzer tablets from your druggist right away and never be without them in your home again, especially during the cold-catching days ahead. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum finally persuaded Mousy to quit his night watchman's job so that he could devote all of his time to training for his fight tomorrow with Iron Ike. But to do it, Lum had to sign a paper giving Abner full ownership of the store and bakery. Lum considers the paper worthless, but Abner has decided to hold him to it for a few days and teach Lum a lesson. As we look in on the little community today, we find Abner in the Jot 'em Down store, and Grandpappy Spears has just entered. Listen.
Well, morning, Grandpap.
Hey, morning, Abner. Morning.
Come on in. How are you today?
Oh, just only tolerably. Whereabouts is Lum? Have you taken him back in the store yet?
Oh, why, of course I ain't. Fact is, he don't even know he's out of it yet.
He don't?
No, he still thinks that paper he read out, giving me the store and bakery, is just a joke.
Well, ain't you told him you're going to hold him to it?
Well, I ain't had a chance. He spends all his time training that Mousy for the fight with Iron Ike at the carnival.
And you ain't teaching Lum much of a lesson if he don't know he's actually lost his half of the business here.
Well, don't worry. He's going to find out about it. And believe me, I'm going to make old Lum appreciate this store before I let him back in, too.
That's your time, Abner.
I'm telling you, Grandpap, I've just got myself to where I'm plumb sick and disgusted with all these big ideas that Lum gets himself mixed up in.
Oh, he's a big-ideas feller, all right.
Yeah.
Hey, whereabouts is that book I was reading in here yesterday, Abner?
Why, over in the library somewhere, I reckon. You can find it over there.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. You can't do this, Abner.
Huh?
You got the library table all piled up with bread here.
Oh, well, I got to put it someplace, Grandpap. I used up every place else.
Well, get it off. Get it off. I got to have a place to read.
Well, I can't, Grandpap. Ain't no other place to put the bread.
Now, listen, Abner. Your sign says this is a free public library, and I demand my rights. I want this table cleaned off.
All right. Just put the bread on the floor, then.
Yeah, that's better.
Dogged, I wish we'd never put in that dead blame library.
Well, now, did you get all this bread? Have you catched on how to make it already?
Oh, no, I never baked none of it. Elizabeth done it.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I got her and little Pearl over at the place just baking bread fast they can. You ought to see 'em.
Well, I do know.
And I got Cedric out doing the delivering. Doggers, even with that truck, he can't hardly keep up. The orders is coming in so fast.
Well, I'll be dogged.
Oh, this lucky loaf is going like a house afire.
Well, I knowed it was good, but I never thought it was this good.
Well, it's on account of the changes I made in the idea, I believe.
Changes?
Yeah.
You mean you ain't baking money into the lucky loaves no more?
No, that's the whole idea of it. See, I just done it a little different. Lum's been doing it, that's all.
Oh.
Just made it a little better. Doggy, that shows right there I don't need that Lum around here.
Of course not. I've always said that.
I might turn out to be a better business feller than he is, you know what?
Yeah, you might. Here's the book I was reading.
Oh.
See, where was I at? Yeah, here we are.
I got to get this bread here wrapped up, so what I better be doing.
In playing the mandolin, the instrument is held so that the fingers of the left hand may produce the various tones by stopping the
What
string.
in the world is that book you're reading, Grandpap?
Well, it's called, let's see the cover here. Musical Instruments Self-Taught.
Oh.
Awful interested.
Well?
Various tones by stopping the strings at the frets, as in playing the
Well, I never knowed you had a mandolin, Grandpap.
Well, I ain't.
Well, what you reading that for, then?
Well, you never can tell when somebody might give you a mandolin.
Oh.
Might inherit one or something.
Yeah.
I'd want to know how to play it before ever I got one. Otherwise, there ain't no sense to getting it.
No, I reckon he ain't. Never had thought about it just that way, but I reckon you're right. Does it tell in there how to play the clarinet? I've always Wait a minute, there comes old Lum.
The body of the mandolin is held on the lap or against the right side of the body, so that the
Grandpap, don't say nothing to Lum about Elizabeth baking that bread. I want him to think I done it. Don't want him to get the idea I need him around here.
So that the player may do the playing with the right hand.
You won't tell him, will you?
Tell him what, Abner?
What? What did I just say to you?
I don't know. The neck of the instrument should lie in
Well, howdy, Lum.
Well, howdy, Abner. Well, hello there, Grandpap. Supported by the thumb... Oh, hello, Lum. And slightly balanced by the forefinger.
Hush up, Grandpap. Don't read that out loud, please.
What in the world is he doing?
He's learning to play the mandolin.
Mandolin?
Yeah.
I don't see no mandolin.
Well, see, he wants to see if he can play it first before he bothers to get one. How's Mousy coming with his training?
Oh, he's doing something wonderful now, Abner.
He is, huh?
Yeah, all the difference in the world since he quit that night watching job over at the mill. He's getting some sleep now.
Well, I'm proud to hear it.
Oh, yeah, he's a champion, that Mousy. That's all there are to it. You ought to seen him work out this morning at the gymnasium.
Gymnasium?
Yeah, I got my place all fixed up like one now, you know.
Oh.
Hung a sort of a punching bag from the chandeliers, and finally Mousy got to punching that thing so hard he knocked the bag and chandeliers both right off the ceiling.
He did?
Oh, he stouted a white oak stump.
Well?
Just ruined them, but of course I don't care. I won't be living there no more after Mousy wins the fight.
Huh?
More than likely be moving to New York.
Oh. Well, are you sure he's going to win, Lum?
Oh, it's a cinch, Abner.
A mortal cinch.
'Tis, huh?
You ought to see what good condition that Mousie's getting himself in. Can't hardly hold him.
Well,
Got him out doing road work right now.
road work.
Yeah.
Well, whereabout?
Oh, out there west of town, along the highway there.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. That road should sure enough stand some work on it, especially where that culvert's out.
Culvert?
Yeah, but it don't seem just right, Lum. Here you take Mousie and make him quit his job over at the mill, and you turn right around and get him a job working on the road.
I never got him no job.
Not did he get it for himself?
Of course not.
Well, somebody must have got it for him, Lum. Does that pay him better than his night-watching job at the mill?
It don't pay him nothing.
It don't? Well, that don't sound like much of a job. I believe he could make more shining shoes over at Mose Moots's barber shop. Mo's looking for a boy.
Well, he ain't out for no kind of a job. Road work is just a training expression, Abner. Us boxing fellers knows what it means.
Oh.
It means... Wait a minute, for goodness sakes. Where did you get all this bread?
Baked it, I think.
You did?
Why, sure.
All by yourself?
Oh, there ain't nothing to it. Just mix up the stuff and there it is.
Well, good for you, Abner. Granny, now we can keep that lucky loaf idea of mine going. How's it been selling today?
More orders than we ever had before.
Well, good.
Or more than I ever had, I mean.
Well, I do know. Granny, I believe that's the greatest one idea I ever had in my life. That's our ring. More likely some orders right there. I'll get it.
No, I'll get it now. I'll handle this. Hello, Jotham Down Store and Bakery. Abner Peabody doing the talking. Mr. Who? Putnam. Oh, over there at Odin. Yes, sir.
Granny's calling clean from Odin now.
Yes, sir. Lucky loaves. Uh-huh. That's right. 300 loaves?
300.
Yes,
Abner,
sir.
I better handle this.
Keep
Abner.
away from me, Long. Yes, sir, Mr. Putman. We'll get 'em ready for you as soon as we can. All right. Goodbye, Mr. Putnam.
Granny, 300 loaves. Abner, we're going to make a fortune out of this.
What do you mean, we? This is my store.
Your store?
Why, sure. Don't you recollect you signed a paper the other day giving me ownership of everything here?
For goodness sake. Well, sure, I signed that, but that was just a joke. I just done that to get Mousie to quit his night-watching job.
I don't care why you done it, Lum. The point is you done it. All right, doggies, I'm going to hold you to it.
You mean you think you're going to hornswoggle me out of my part of the store and bakery?
I never hornswoggled you. You done it yourself. I've got the paper that you wrote out yourself giving it to me.
Yeah, but I just give you that so... Oh, well, you're just trying to josh me, I see now. Get you on. Granny, that would be a gooder known me, wouldn't it?
Lum, I ain't joshing you. This is my store and my bakery. Now, you're plumb out of it now.
Wait a minute. Are you serious about this?
Of course I am. You give up the store and the bakery business for a prize fighter so you can just depend on Mousie for a living.
Well, I'll be dead blamed. Well, you won't get away with it, I'll tell you that. I'll lawsuit you to the Supreme Court first.
Lawsuit, I don't care. I've got a signed paper from you.
You ain't heard the last of this, Mr. Peabody. Granny's, I'm coming back here and run you out of business if it's the last thing I ever do. If I can't do it no other way, I'll put in a big apartment store right across the street. And bakery. I'll show you, dead blame thief.
Yeah. Oh, is he mad? Mad enough to bite. It's working, Grandpap.
Huh?
Didn't you see how mad old Lum got?
No, I was reading here. What'd he do?
Oh, he stomped out of here mad as a wet setting hen. He thought I couldn't get along without him around here. That feller Putman from over at Odin called up and ordered 300 loaves of bread right while Lum was standing here.
300 loaves?
Yes, sir.
Well, what are you doing, cutting the price on bread?
No, I'm still getting 10 cents a loaf for it. That's what I'm getting. Yes, sir. 10 cents.
You're sure doing the business, doing twice as much as you done when Lum was handling it.
Yeah, I know it. I believe it's this little change I'm making in the Lucky Loaf idea's what's doing it, though. See, Lum was putting $1 in one out of every 25 loaves of bread. I'm putting 25 cents in every loaf. Doggies, they're going for it, too.
Well, that just goes to show you that we never know what'll happen next down in Pine Ridge. But how different it frequently is with you and me. We know, for example, what we may expect when we let our appetites get the better of our good judgment. And we eat far more than we know we should. But we know, too, that is, we know if we're Alka-Seltzer-wise, that there's a quick, dependable way to get quick relief from the discomforts which frequently plague us when we overeat. Folks, it is wise to alkalize with Alka-Seltzer when your stomach's upset by acid indigestion, because Alka-Seltzer does more than just neutralize excess gastric acidity. It also can relieve that full, stuffy feeling. Be sure to try it the very next time you eat not wisely but too well, and see for yourself why people the country over say when you have acid indigestion, it's wise to alkalize with Alka-Seltzer. Now remember, you can get Alka-Seltzer at any drugstore, either by the package or by the glass at the soda fountain.
But putting a quarter in every loaf of bread will, oh well. 83 years ago, January 8, 1942, Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage at classicradio.stream. That is classicradio.stream. Tomorrow, Westerns with the Screen Directors Playhouse production of Stagecoach, along with an episode of Gunsmoke. Mystery and Crime with The Whistler and The Shadow, and another episode of Superman. Thanks for being with us here on Classic Radio Theater. See you tomorrow. I'm Wyatt Cox.